What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the Bmw Beardscape. I love this joint. Been using it. Just got the first charge done, so we can actually mark it. I used it for a year and 5 months on one charge. There you go. It's ridiculous. Everyone has a bad experience with a buzzer. I, now at my 37th year, have figured out the perfect buzzer system. It's the Bmw Beardscape. It is low maintenance. It's got these ceramic blades that don't get too crusty. They're easy to clean. You don't have to lubricate them that often. This thing is light. It's strong. It comes in a really nice travel pouch with interchangeable blades and a nice brush to clean it out. Perfect for trimming your face, your head, or you know where else. It is a horsepower machine and also energy efficient, going a year and a half almost on one charge for me with once a week use. Get yourself a Bmw Beardscape. I got the best price for you, my friend. Best price. Bmw for life. Bmw, the number 4, life.com/ use code SMOKING. Bmw4life.com. Use code SMOKING at checkout. This will be the last buzzer you ever buy. It's awesome. I use mine every single week without shame. We've got the Migliore luxury car care products on this one. Migliore is known for making the best of the best when it comes to car care. Their product line is handmade and poured right here in Connecticut, in the USA. I think most of Connecticut's in the USA. Bridgeport might be a little different, but most of Connecticut is in the USA. Migliore's Strata coating is a ceramic coating treatment you can easily apply yourself. It adds a ton of gloss, lasts over a year, and keeps your car looking great for longer in between washes. It's extremely hydrophobic, so water just sheets right off. So if you're mud bogging, you're still gonna have to wash your car. But if it just gets like a dust on it, like happens in California, or cars that you keep in the garage that maybe you don't drive very much, that accumulate dust, and you don't want to take it to the car wash again or spend a whole afternoon on it, you just give it a once over, and it makes the maintenance so much easier. Strata coating has over 100 positive reviews on Amazon, so check them out. Spring is here. Use code TST at checkout at migliorewax.com. That's MIGLIORE wax.com. 10% off anything in their store with code TST. There it is, folks. In our store right now, our Blip Shift merch store, our partnership with Blip Shift, they make the best car t-shirts on the internet. We have a new design in the store, 2 weeks only. It's the new Smoking Tire vintage Formula 1 style t-shirt. This is a really cool shirt. It looks like one of those old school F1 posters. It's got a Ferrari on it. It's got the Angeles Crest Highway. It's very, very pretty. I really like mine. It's got kind of a texture to that printing. It's not sunk into the material. I am a fan. It's only on sale for the first 2 weeks of April. Get them while they're hot by going to thesmokingtire.com and clicking on store, or go to blipshift.com/TST. You can either go to thesmokingtire.com and click store, or blipshift.com/TST and get them for the first 2 weeks of April only in our store. Okay, on this episode, it is my old friend, one of my oldest friends, Larry Kosilla of Ammo NYC, one of the finest detailers in the world, maker of some of the finest car care products in the world. Him and his friend Derek Bemis and his friend Kevin Brown are in studio. Collectively, these are 3 of the best detailers in the world, and all 3 of them were working on my Lamborghini to do a crazy paint correction. So we talk a little bit about that, but we also talk about like all different kinds of really interesting stuff with chemicals and detailing and people's fun histories and stories, and we go back into me and Larry's childhood a bit. It is great fun. We got Larry Kosilla, Kevin Brown, and Derek Bemis on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Was it worse than my Mini? My Mini might have been...
Your Mini was worse.
My Mini was really bad.
Man, his had different layers and stuff, but...
I had an artist do an insane... like graphic, like hand cut vinyl mural all over my car, and
of what?
Zach, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Zach, we're here. No, we'll open with this. It's cool. Zach, just Google Matt Farah mini art car and you'll get a picture of it. It was real crazy. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, jeez.
Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast, everybody, where we are talking about my old fucking Mini for some reason. We got Larry Kosilla
Hello.
in the studio, who, if you've never fucking heard of him, well, that's him right there. AmmoNYC.com. Larry is one of the most famous detailers in the world, if not fucking one of the best. I get to give you shit.
Thank you.
We also went to middle school and high school together.
Yes, we did.
And so we got to fucking do a lot of mischiefy things back in the day.
That
and
is for
also
sure.
we got our start in cars together. So, and then we got Kevin Brown. Larry's fucking detailing homie over here. What do you want to plug, Kevin? Where are you from? What do you do?
I'm from buffdaddy.com.
Oh, shit.
He doesn't
I
play
thought
around,
that was
man.
a joke, and then I was like, no, wait, really, that's his website.
No, but if you Google search that wrong, you get into
well,
trouble.
You get
you
bad
have-
things.
Kevin's really giving himself an uphill battle with the SEO.
A lot of 8-second visits.
My retention sucks. Man, my initial pings are huge. Nobody sticks around.
Story of my life.
Have you considered polisher porn? I'm just wondering. And we got Derek Bemis in the house as well. What's happening?
Hey, things are doing great.
Oh wait, are we
Thanks for
allowed to
having me.
say who you are and like your
Absolutely.
credentials? Are your credentials secret like some of Larry's credentials are?
Oh, I'm not that good.
You're so we can say you're Barry Maguire's detailer on the air, and that's cool.
Bring it. Yeah,
All right, yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're Barry Maguire's detailer, which if you've never fucking heard of Barry Maguire, you may have seen one of a million bottles with his fucking name on it. It says Maguire's.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
it?
that's me.
Derek, is the head of one of the most famous car care companies in the world a lunatic about his cars being super, super detailed?
You know, you would think he would be fastidious about every single aspect.
Yeah.
He's the nicest man. He never.
That's for sure.
But like, what happens if you miss a spot? Is he nice and then you miss a spot
Oh,
and he
no.
throws a fire extinguisher at your head?
Never. No.
Like
No.
Jack Nicholson in fucking Anger Management.
Yeah.
Like, I said over easy. I said no tire shine.
Yeah. No. But very forgiving man. I'm lucky to be employed by him. You know, super nice.
rad.
Just lets me run the show as if it were my own.
Just puts on that shirt and turns the cameras on and goes, "Hi guys."
Yeah.
Gets them fucking shiny
Good
teeth
man.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great man.
He should really start making toothpaste. He would be a fucking hell of a spokesman.
Tooth polish.
He's really, he really should.
Got the
So, so Larry and Kevin and Derek, along with their other guy Daniel and Ryan, who's hiding in the back over here from Driving Sports TV, were in town because they wanted to make a makuntash a nicey,
Yeah.
and they did.
Oh,
One day,
what a treat that was.
one day of polishing.
Yeah.
So I
Single
mean,
stage paint.
yeah. So like, just Zach, pull up these pictures. Like those. This was last night when I left. So I left them still working at like 8. And they were like, "How long are you going to be here?" He's like, "I don't know, dude."
Yeah, it's going to be a long time. That's the driver's side door
But there was literally 4 dudes with machines working on this car
for many hours.
for many hours. Wait, so where do we even fucking start? Do we start with this? Where do we start? I don't even know.
There's a lot
There's
going
3
on.
like heavy hitter detailers in the room. Like, where the fuck do we start? I don't know.
How about
Anybody? Where do you?
40 plus man hours on that paint?
Yeah, I would say 40 plus man hours, single stage paint.
Well, first thing, the most interesting thing I think is that you found that my car had been painted a little bit,
Right.
which I
yeah.
didn't think it had been.
And the
but it
reason
turns out it had.
we found it was painted was just by, rubbing a certain area, polishing a certain area, whatever it was, because we did a little bit by hand is why I'm saying that, and a bunch by machine. When you're polishing it and the paint's coming off, realize it's single stage paint. But as you're polishing this much,
Yeah.
and then you go from here to here, and all of a sudden, bang, you don't have anything
So
coming
it
off.
seems like at some point in the car's history,
It is repainted and it has clear coat on it. So that
Certain
would,
point.
someone didn't do it like right.
right?
But like you can't really tell by just looking at it though.
No, there's no way to tell. It's just whatever process you use, like we were talking about before. If you use process A on section A and you want to use process A on section B, and they're 2 different things, you're gonna have some issues. You can't just do the same technique
Yeah.
on the same panel because part of it's single stage and the other part is clear coat.
Two different.
I mean, in
substrates.
theory, I guess you
Paint.
could, but if somebody didn't know that was going on, you'd be like, why is this not working? So it's a little confusing at times.
So nobody else but you can detail. Did you guys?
No, I don't
if
think
I should,
that,
you know,
but-
here's what I need you to do. I'll send you pictures of the car from all angles, and you just draw a little map of where the single stage. So
We
I
actually
just,
know where that is.
I could just hand it to any other
could do
detailer and go, okay.
Don't touch these areas.
Map of the
Put, like,
Orkney
X's.
Islands. No, this is
Caution.
my touch-up areas.
So crazy.
No, we basically thought it was, like we said, the doors opened and it must have hit something.
Yeah.
And we probably got to repaint it. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah, so like there's some repaint like on the tops of the doors,
Different door
right?
frame,
Yeah, the
yeah,
door
just-
frame,
just
and then
beyond the
some on the
A-pillar.
roof, right?
Yep.
So if I'm picturing a scenario, it's that someone opened the doors inside of a trailer or something,
right.
hit the ceiling, and then knocked something which like may have fallen on the roof.
Right, because what was
Right.
it?
That would explain
the
it.
front of the A-pillars, right? Half of the door.
Because imagine a
Correct.
time before the doors did this, right?
Right.
So this I guarantee you that whoever owned this car first, it was their first vertically doored car.
I can promise you that.
they didn't have practice on McLarens and shit, right? So somebody fucked up and didn't think about what that door was going to hit on the way up.
Yeah.
It definitely did.
And right,
And then what was it
100%.
on the inside of the driver's side? They didn't paint red or something. What did you
Correct.
catch?
Yeah, so they didn't completely touch up with red and then cleared over that, so you could still see the transparency of the.
So they
of the
cleared
primer
over
underneath.
something that wasn't painted.
Oh, they cleared over a fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, which is like now you
Oops.
can't do anything. Like it's like now you put paint on top of the
Yeah.
clear,
The
which is
good-
weird.
The good thing was it proved that we didn't do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the big point. We said that.
right?
Not
Lock it
it,
in,
not it.
Steve.
I think we took like
Let's make
iPhone pictures. We're like, all right,
Yeah, we didn't do
time
this.
stamped.
No, he called me in a panic. He's like, I need you to know we found paint on this car. I'm like, fucking whatever, dude. Whatever. Make it shiny. Let's go drive it.
Yeah, and the polishing part of it it took a long time. We had some weird, not normal things that you guys can chime in with that. But basically, we polished it with was it 110. We did the whole point of the video was one pad, one polish. And the reason we did that was to make sure that we took away the least amount of paint possible. So think of it from a different perspective.
Yeah, because if you have a quote original paint job, you want to preserve that for as long as you can.
It sounds like a We Are the World thing, like one pad, one polish. but
One
it's-
pad,
it's
one
not at all.
polish. One man, one wheel.
One
terrible. It's terrible.
one Countach, 1 million.
So anyways, think of it like you're digging a hole. If you're going to dig a hole, a 6-foot hole, you'd use a backhoe or something, right? But in
Yeah.
this case, we're digging a 6-foot hole, but we're using a spoon because we're sort of like archaeology, whatever. That kind of analogy. We're like, it's taking a long time to go through because we just, don't want to burn through the
Yeah.
paint. So we're being very careful. It's just a long pain in the butt process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's fucking shiny, man.
It is shiny
It's
now.
fucking shiny.
So
If you
Kevin,
go to
describe
my
the
Insta-
process here. Go through a little bit of the process here.
Well,
it's fucking 40 man hours, right, on this car? Because it was three of you guys, four
guys.
people from 10:30 a.m. till midnight, pretty much.
Yeah, plus or minus,
Give or take.
Yeah.
Give or take. I
That's-
mean, I
that's
was
a
off.
lot.
Somebody was, it's, something
Okay.
like that.
Well, we just
And-
completed a series of videos. Larry did the ATA series, and
Right.
we try to teach to minimize your options to give you a quick shorten your learning curve. Right? If you have 5 different pads and 10 different liquids, and you just keep trying them, eventually you'll come across a combination that works. But that's really not the way you should do it. So we decided, well, let's practice what we preach. We'll use one type of foam pad. Of course, we have all different sizes, and one liquid. In this case, was a heavy cut compound, which is really not what you
Like
would
we
think
polished
we would
out
use.
a car with like a heavy cut compound.
The latest state of the art heavy
That's
cut
like really
compound
hard to
is
do.
what we used on your car,
We did that to like minimize the amount of like that's
because we could do.
I don't know the term fucking I don't know what heavy cut compound means, so I don't know. You're like, oh my god, this is amazing, and I go, all right, why?
well, it's because we're not using a polish that's like very very fine. We're doing something that's a little
Is heavy coming like gritty?
it's gritty,
yeah,
so it's very
aggressive,
hard to
but aggressive.
to finish out.
It can cut away paint rapidly
But I thought you're trying to cut away as little paint as possible. So why would you use that?
because, well, we decided to use one pad, and that pad doesn't have a lot of its cut on its own.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
this is the state of the art in abrasives.
Okay.
So they're very refined, consistently sized, and they use a bunch of them.
So you're using like no abrasive in the pad and all the abrasive here instead of like a more abrasive pad with like a less,
like a medium and medium. So think about it from like a detailing perspective. When you have like a ton of different variables or anything in life, you have a million different variables. You have to pick one. Yeah. There's like this itis with detailing where it's like, this didn't work, whoop, and they throw it out. This didn't work, whoop. And so you go through this whole process, and by the time you've figured it out, you've gone, you just burned through the paint. So we go with something that we know, and we know the one polish, and we're just kind of like sort of metaphorically picking at the paint, just taking a little bit off here. We went with a more aggressive liquid, in this case compound, because we knew it, but we pulled one of the variables out and had a pad that's not very aggressive.
I take it it's riskier to use an aggressive pad than an aggressive liquid?
No, but we wanted to use one pad and also cut away the defects, but then leave a nice polished finish. And that pad is it's great at that.
It does it both.
But do you understand the little nuances when you stick to that one pad, one polish? You've like basically or virtually eliminated the variables. So if something funky goes on, and in the video I talked about that. Otherwise, if you have all these other things, you go like you can say that something else is wrong. By default, when this thing goes wrong, you're practicing and trying new things. You're just burning away the paint. People don't get that. Like you only get so many lives on this thing. Yeah. So during the process, it was getting really late. Remember the last little bit that I did? You hit it with the liquid. You do the pad. You know you basically we call it mow down. You're pulling all the dead oxidized crap off the car, right? You pull it off. We change the pad. Put a new fresh pad on there. Put the same compound. You what we call season or prime the pad. Then you blow it out. It's just counterintuitive. Go back on there. It comes out perfect. It's a really wild technique. I forgot to do that because I was getting tired. So I left all the abrasive, went back on the paint, and I just scoured the paint again. And it was just like, wait a second. We've been doing the same process at that point for 6 hours, 7 hours.
So you knew it was wrong because
I went out of it immediately. So you see the subtlety of
I get it.
So
all right.
That was the interesting part. Very exciting to us detailer.
There's a video of it in which you will focus on every single step, right?
Yes.
The coolest thing I saw you guys do, I mean, forgetting the making the car very shiny part, I figured you guys would probably do that, but the making of the box filter.
Yeah, baby.
Can we? All right. So this is some weird shit, but it does actually affect, like, I guess maybe folks at home, like if you have a garage with multiple cars and you're trying to...
Did we take a picture of that? The filter at the end, because once we disassembled it, the filter at the end was like
was
red.
It fucked? I'd love to see that. So
do you have a photo?
Wait,
Ryan has a photo.
There's a picture of it mid-assembly, Zach, on my Instagram. If you want to pull it up, you can see at least what it looks like when it was like halfway built.
There he goes,
on the left there. So who actually designed this fucking thing? Was this you, Kevin?
Yeah, because I wanted to make something that was inexpensive and simple to build. And I had these fans that were about 20 years old sitting in my storage, and I had this Home Depot crate or cart or shelving. And so we needed it last minute, so I went to my mini storage late one night when we were doing these videos, and I put this thing together.
So first off, why would someone need a giant sucker fan with air filters put on it?
Because first, the best way to clean these pads in the midst of polishing is to blow them out with compressed air.
Okay? Oh, okay.
And
so if you back up a second, why it's like explain why there's residue there? That because a lot of people are like, well, why am I blowing out the pad?
Well, because as you grind paint away or you polish paint away, it's integrating into the pad and the buffing liquid,
right? And
it's contamination or debris or residue. So you have to get that out so you can continue to do rapid cutting, great finishing, and get efficient performance.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So we blow them out. And in the earlier days, we started using that. I mean, they've been doing that for 50, 60 years, but now we're aware, like, wow, you don't want to be inhaling that stuff. That's really bad for your lungs.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's getting all over the cars. Right?
Yeah, we were in a warehouse full of, like, you know, a lot of really nice cars.
Yeah, and he was even getting on the floor. It's kind of a mess, so we just need to kind of capture that mess. You need to remove it from the pad.
So can you just like have that thing in the room, or do you have to like go blow the pads out right into it?
You turn the fan on, so the fans suck. Then you put the pad there, you blow it with compressed air, and as it's blowing out, the fan is sucking it down.
But you have to do it right next to it, right? It doesn't just like handle the room.
Right, it's just
and it just goes in. That would be
sweet.
I don't know. I've never seen someone build one of these things before. How the fuck am I supposed to know?
We've done them with vacuums where you.
Sorry, I'm not an expert on like home built box fans.
Let's go.
Air filters.
Yeah, we've done them in little. You can do that in a cardboard box and put wet towels in there and put your machine in there and blow it, and it'll capture some. You can use an air compressor compressor to contain
Oh,
that,
yeah,
right?
okay. It's pretty cool.
And this one, you could build this thing with a wall of fans, walk by the thing
Yeah.
as you're going around the car and blow it into there, and the fans will suck it through, and it's just pushing the debris into.
It's like a downdraft.
In-
Bro, why
Right,
stop
exactly.
there? Let's just start fucking detailing in wind tunnels. I mean, really. Why don't
No,
we?
if you really if you really want to be fancy, there's a cool
the good
idea.
detailers do, Matt.
The real pros.
That's true. That's true.
downdraft wind tunnel.
That's right.
Yeah.
The really cool idea would be to put like one of those waterfalls, the water that run down the wall, and if you could just go over to the wall and hit
Oh,
the
and
wall,
blow it into water.
and then it just comes
There's a
down.
lot of ways you could do
That
it.
would be sweet. That's like the
Oh, why don't you just do that?
Because,
what
like-
would stop you from doing that?
a building.
You don't need a building. You just need some fucking sharper image fountain.
Yeah, the stand-up fake. Remember Joey had it in Friends? He had the fake window that he cried in front of when he was like pensive.
I like that. I like that.
And it was like raining outside,
Yeah.
and he was in front of his own
Bro,
raining window.
Hammaker
That's the next one.
Schlemmer.
There you go.
I like that idea, right?
Right? The wall of water.
Yeah, just shoot it into the water. The water
Yeah.
capture it and just keep
Bro,
it there.
I like this very much. Speaking of the water capture, you guys did something I never seen a human do, which was they rolled out a mat on the ground.
A slip and slide.
A
with
slip,
edges.
a big
Yeah.
slip and slide.
Slip and slide.
Under the car.
the picture. Of
There's
that.
a picture of the Lambo that's all foamy, and you can see it's on like a fucking pad.
There you go.
There we go.
And
Yeah.
then after we wash the car, I drive the car off the pad, and then they hoover up all the water.
That's
and-
right. Not
Yeah.
a drop, baby.
But wait, then what? Then where's it go?
Then
Where do you
Kevin
dump?
takes
Where
it
do you
home
dump
and,
the Hoover?
and he takes a shower in it. And then it's like, no, you gotta dispose of it.
Yeah,
You
where
gotta-
do
you
you
know,
dump
deal with
it?
that.
Where are these disposal places?
The water disposal
The water
places?
disposal
Yeah. No,
places. What do you really have
Laws
to do?
actually dictate you can even dump them in the grass,
Oh, that
in
makes
gardens
sense.
and grass. So
They actually say to
technically
wash the
gets-
car on the grass. It filters it.
It filters it and reclaims it. Yeah,
Right.
But not on asphalt,
correct.
No.
because then it goes where?
Ocean.
Down to the
To the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay.
So your
soap
dirty
can go
car-
in grass, but soap can't go in ocean.
It's different for every state. I don't know. I don't know
yeah.
about California, but I know you got to
California's
capture it.
But I would doubt you
afterwards.
could wash the car without soap and get away with it. I don't know.
Well, what they do in LA, which is like the scammest of all scams, is there's like a million waterless wash places. Like every fucking Beverly Hills valet underground parking lot has like a $50 waterless wash.
Wow.
Yeah,
For $50, we can scratch your
Well,
car.
they just use a whole bottle of spray wax and scratch the shit out of your car. There's one right next to Whole Foods.
The
right
crazy
here.
part is when you do that,
guy's a fan.
you have
It looks like-
5,000 towels, and you have to go wash the towels, and
and that's
it's
a
like,
problem for them, even in the treatment.
and now you just
plants,
use like
the
10 gallons
phosphates.
of.
Yeah.
It's like does you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh no, I get it.
doesn't make any
I'm
sense.
just thinking, do they even swap the towels out? I mean, who would even know?
Probably not.
I would be
Hence,
saying,
scratch
Why don't you
it
guys
out.
do this? This is
What's this?
This is
from?
1963 Popular Science. You can dispose of motor oil by just pouring it into a hole in the ground with rocks in it, and the rocks will filter out all the
Brilliant.
Yeah,
I like that.
that'd work.
Popular Science, 1963.
Boy, those guys were thinkers back then.
Now that I think about it, I have plants at my building to filter rainwater, but I could probably just run the thing through there.
You could.
That's it. That's weird, right?
That's a lot.
It's
to think
really
about.
weird. When I watched him vacuuming up water, I was like, "Get the fuck out of here,
Dude, and that water was disgusting, was it not? It was
Oh,
like
it was
brown,
it
black
was pretty
water.
gross.
Yeah.
yeah. There was actual.
Think about all the debris in your
There was
wheel
actual
wells
dirt
and-
in my car.
Yeah.
Well, that's we talked about this. I've talked about this about 4 fucking times today because people keep putting cameras in my face. But the car, most cars, if you really give them a good fucking wash, they actually feel like they drive better, including mine. It felt very smooth, and the car was extremely happy today.
It's nice.
It
Car looked
didn't.
good.
It acted exactly as a regular old normal car should act.
Now you just need to maintain it. That's the only challenge. That's your biggest hurdle
You should
here.
have picked up a couple of miles an hour top speed with that polish job we
think
gave
so.
it, man.
With the wing dragging me back.
Yeah.
Um,
It's wind tunnel test.
yeah. No, you have to. So now that what do I do now? Now that I
Now
have.
you got to wash it with a lot of lubrication. You can't go wiping it. You can't just do
Well, the one thing
anything
I like
quick.
what you told me before, which is to not dunk a wash mitt anymore. Just use a pile of towels, and just when it gets dirty, keep grabbing a clean one and dunking it in soap. Like, who gives a shit if you have to wash 20 towels?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I'm going
Yeah,
towards now.
I like
Especially
that.
your crazy soft paint.
I gotta. Do you know how many microfibers I have? Like, I will do that. That's not even a problem.
Yeah, throw it in the wash. You're done. It's like you don't
But
have to worry if there's any contamination.
But
'cause
I
there's nothing there.
am doing this. I'm not just like hands off. Don't like. I don't just foam it and then hose it off. Right.
I mean, it depends on how dirty it is. I mean, how would you approach that? I don't know. California, in New York, it's impossible.
Oh, you're not allowed to like legally tell me what to do if it means
No, I'm not. No,
at a permanent wash bay. At a permanent wash bay. Forget the
It depends on how dirty. Fine, but how dirty is the car?
Let's
Not
talk
that dirty.
California
If it's not that dirty,
Dusty.
I mean, can you get away with just foaming it, rinsing it, and then just towel drying it? You know, microfiber towel drying, hydrate, whatever.
I think he could do whatever he likes because if he enjoys doing it that way and getting the car clean, okay. The paint's not perfect. The car is a fantastic car.
Right.
The car itself exceeds the quality of the paint that's on it. So to me, I'd say if you want to get out there in your shorts and a bucket and a sponge, or you want to use a mitt or microfibers, do that. Dry the car and enjoy that.
Okay, so don't freak out about
And
it.
if somebody says your car really doesn't, like, you know what, just floor it. And like, bye.
But I gotta be careful on that engine cover though. The engine cover.
we didn't touch the engine cover.
That's
It was just
worth
too far gone.
Considering
repainting it?
repainting that. Because
I want to see how
it's-
much worse it gets over time, because like, so the engine cover on the Countach is is carbon Kevlar. It's a weird material, and is it accurate to say like that the paint absorbs into the material? Is that why like you
that
can
material
see,
probably
like, is that why you can see the weave through it? Why is that, or is it just a heavier
I think
weave?
it's not flat. It's not like a completely flat surface. There's like there's lots of patterns.
Sorry, Vinny Russo
Yeah,
in
there
the
you go.
party mic. Vinny's been lingering in the back of this shot
I'm
for
like super creepy.
No,
I'm just
Vinny
creeping.
Russo. Vinny's our resident, jack of all trades.
There you
So
go.
like you can see the weave in a lot of the cars, the earlier carbon cars, because the technology wasn't there to smooth everything out. There was no primer layer. There was no nothing. So that you're actually painting it like just on
on it. It's like painting a wicker chair,
Basically,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So like the F40 was notorious that everybody saw the F40. The minute you get up close, all you can see is like wicker weave all over it.
Yeah. But that's part of its charm.
it is part of it, because that's part of what you had there. And the Countach was one of the first cars to ever even do that.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's part of my kingdom for that fucking deck lid.
But if,
Oh my
Matt,
God, look at
next time you look at it, if you see
That's
where,
not my car.
where your hinges
Yeah,
would be, where that's hinged, and
Yeah.
you look at the paint, it's completely smooth. There must be a piece of metal or bracketry in
Oh,
there.
there's gotta be something behind.
stabilize that carbon fiber from expanding and contracting and moving over time.
Right, yeah.
'Cause you can just see at the outline. So there is a lot of movement, especially
Yeah.
with the heat.
Well, so the thing with the paint on this piece, and so that one is an early carbureted car, and it's nice and flat. That's got to be
That's
so
a good
great
look
to
right
see
there.
out of. Mine has the injection humps and the third brake light. It's fucking
Yeah.
fucked back there. But the engine is
Well said.
So hot, that it's basically burned through the paint from underneath. Right? Is that is there a better
the
way to
point
describe
that
that?
Kevin's trying to make,
Well-
it's not necessarily burned. It's the heating up and cooling down, heating up, cooling down, heating up. That over time has caused it to crack.
It causes it to expand. And when it contracts, it doesn't always contract the same way it was before. And this happens hundreds of times or thousands of times. And then you get the texture. And then it dries out. It loses its resiliency.
Yeah.
And it does what it did. It
Larry
cracks
basically
away.
showed me a rag, like he had washed it and like wiped it, and like some had come off, like on the rag.
yeah,
So
this-
we have to be when we wash the car at home, we have to be like really,
that
really
part in
careful with that.
particular is you should probably not go crazy on that part. Of all the
No.
things on the car, that would be the one that we didn't even polish it. We're like, we can't do anything.
No,
with
you
this.
couldn't. You
No,
can
just
barely
literally
wipe
just-
it. It's pretty fragile.
Yeah, so
But, like,
I think Kevin's right.
That would
If
be
you
a
ever get it
foaming
back-
rinse
I would do it
program.
just to protect the the substrate, the carbon fiber Kevlar component.
Oh, you'd paint it in a protective way. It's
Thinking
not
it-
like it's
thinking of
not
it that
like
way.
that bad yet. Like if it gets worse than where it's at now, I will.
I think the biggest
I will.
challenge is if you paint that and it looks amazing, and your paint
You can't have it
doesn't
look better than the rest
That's
of
what
the
I'm saying.
car.
That part would be like.
Then
ugh.
Derek was talking about the slippery slope with me earlier, and like
Right.
I don't want to go down the slippery slope like at all, really.
Right. So just
You know,
live with
whatever.
it. Just
All
right.
go gentle.
That was the first thing I said to Matt when he sent me the pictures. I was like, nobody's going to believe that car's original. This looks better than the barn when they painted that car in the barn in Italy. Like, this car didn't look this good coming off the showroom floor.
No, we killed it. I think we could have
It
spent
looks
another
sick.
50 hours,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
80 hours or something on there, and like really dialed a lot of stuff in. But
In
at the
our
same
world.
time,
For one day, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
really
crazy.
what we wanted to show is
Yeah.
what the average guy. I mean, yeah, we're doing a great car, but the average guy could do one pad, one liquid, take his time or her
right
time.
in a preservation mode.
Yeah,
That, like
get it
that's the
looking
difference
really,
between.
Are you really expecting anyone to do what you guys did at home?
I
How
think
much? What is someone's takeaway from it? Really, it's just the one pad, one
I-
liquid thing, or is someone going to do anything like
Yes.
what you guys did at
I
home?
really
Yes,
think
I,
they could.
I actually get on the phone a lot with people, and one of the ones that I really enjoy, I hear from every couple of years, right around the Concours Italiana time. It's a doctor. He's a surgeon, and I'll get that call where he had a situation where someone came and did his car and burned right through the trunk. And he's like, that's it. I'm doing this myself. Tell me what I need. Teach me how to do it. I'm a good learner. And I'm thinking, yeah, I bet you are. You're a surgeon. And he is sharp, and he loves it. So, yeah they will do it. Certain ones, and if it helps those guys.
It's got to be a pretty extreme enthusiast.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have some enthusiasts.
People are pretty excited. I mean, like, in general, the detailing market, I mean, if we're going into that business world, like, has expanded, like, since you and I have been doing it, like, insane. Like, the market itself has gone crazy, and because of that, there's a lot of entrants, a lot of other businesses.
The market, in terms of working detailers, or in terms of available products, or
all
everything?
of them. Basically, the way it's cut up in a lot of the the market reports are car washes, products, and then detailing facilities, and they put them all in one kind of big category, and so it's really based on car sales and all that kind of stuff. But overall, it's a $17 billion industry. It's expanded incredibly. So the pie has increased.
It's increasing. Just go down any department store,
right?
Auto part, detailing section. They haven't shrunken. They've gotten massive.
Why do you guys think that is?
I think that is. I mean, this is a really good question. I do think it is because of the access to these videos and a lot more PDFs and tutorials and trainings and things like that. People are like, "Whoa, I didn't realize I have this appreciation for something that I purchase." And if you think about it, it's other than a home or whatever. It's a lot of money to buy a car. It's not just like an iPad or something. You know what I mean? So you want to take care of it, but how do I take care of it? And because of you don't go to the library anymore and find you just find it in 2 seconds and then you're there.
Google it.
That has expanded. Once it expanded, the market got so saturated that now there's so many people because the barrier to entry is very low. So they've entered the market, and when you see this flow of money going in and out, in and out, in and out, that's when the private equity, all the big companies realize, oh, there's something here now, and because of that, the industry has now become very, very commercialized, or you see what I'm saying? It's just a bigger industry.
And I think that now it's easier to maintain a car for a longer period of time.
Right.
Let's say go way back, 70s and 80s, the cars would degrade, the paints would degrade, and you'd go down to Joe's body shop for $800 and get a new paint job.
Right.
Don't need to do that anymore. You can get a clay bar, smooth out the paint, spray some wax on it. It's like, wow, this is like brand new. I'm going to keep this car longer. It's much easier to get a great finish quickly.
Right.
And the fact is that these new paint systems, they just last longer.
Well, the tools, think about it. The gap between when you guys started, right? Rotary polishers and stuff. That's like a black magic art or whatever. I'm being a little facetious.
No, but
it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
And then they make this leap into dual action, where they're like, "Hey, we have this massive enthusiast market. There's no way."
Dual action's also orbital, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's dual action, then there's random orbit. So there's basically, think of it as just rotary, fixed axle, right? Lots of danger. Think of it like a scalpel. Right, and then you back out and you go into the random orbit, and there's 50 different variations of that, large throw, et cetera, et cetera. But once that market emerged, it was like, oh, hey, everybody, you can do what those brilliant guys are doing, but you can do the same kind of thing, with these tools. In the beginning, it was a little bit, you couldn't do as much. Like, hey, that you need the scalpel, Now we've gotten so advanced, with the large throws, you can do just as much. Wouldn't you say, as you could with the rotary, but 10 times safer?
We just did it. What we did on your car.
You see what I'm saying? We just shrunk that gap. So it's crazy.
Your car would have required 3 steps of work, labor intensive.
Sure.
And it wouldn't have turned out as nice. And it would have taken off more
back
paint
in the day.
and more risk.
Oh, yeah.
And
Back
I
in the
think
day.
maybe even one of those little painted areas might have been from a burn mark or something like that.
Yeah, who knows?
So, yeah, it's...
Speaking of which, I was driving home from our shoot today on PCH, and someone drove up next to me in a Mercedes CL 600 and was waving at me very aggressively. And at a light, he pulled up next to me and said, "I used to own that car." And I
You're kidding me.
And I said, "Really?" The car's so fucking loud, I couldn't really hear him, through the tiny window.
This is after you left us, obviously.
Yeah, it's after. And I go, when? When? I go, did you?
When?
I said before.
Sign language.
I was like, when? And then I tried to say, like, before David, and he made the number 15. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The first owner, it was delivered in Pennsylvania, although I don't know if he lived there. And then that guy sold it to David like 10 years ago, and now I have it. So, like...
Did you get enough time to ask him, hey, did you scratch the top of my car?
Did you hit the doors on the trailer?
This is so funny. It is pretty loud in there. It's hard to hear anything.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually he actually owned the car, but it was a weird encounter. He was convinced it was his former.
That was
car.
his Ferrari. That was what he said.
Yeah.
I've owned that Ferrari. Thanks, guy. All right, man.
I got to ask a question.
Yeah.
So, because I was talking to Matt about this. So, I think because it's a Countach, people assume that there's a certain level of quality that paint must come from because it's a Lamborghini and it's a Countach. I don't think that the majority of the viewers or listeners, what do you want to call it, are really understand that quality of paint is very similar to what all the paint was back then and what a lot of the cars that they may actually own are back then. And what you guys did wasn't something that didn't mean that it was an exotic car. It was something that was capable of being done on a more normal level because paint really isn't all that
Vinny, your credentials to that effect, if you don't mind. What was your job that would give you expertise in such an area as Lamborghini paint, just in case people are like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about?
I did. I worked for Lamborghini corporate for 5 years. As
He was head of
manager.
Lamborghini after sales.
So I've seen the paint. I've seen the barn where that car was painted, legitimately.
But I turned comments on today to show off these guys' work, and I thought that people would give compliments, and they did.
Yeah.
But some people were like, actually, Italian paint from the 80s is surprisingly good. Do you guys agree with that
he said it was
assessment?
surprisingly good and easy to do. I'm not impressed. There's something like that, right?
Yeah.
We're
Well,
like,
no, a couple. One guy was really snarky, but others said, I think in earnest, that they believed Italian paint from the 80s to be of good quality. Do you guys agree with that assessment? I'm not a lot of enthusiasm right now.
I mean, well, take that as a whole in the 80s. Think about all the paint that we dealt with. That was good paint.
Was it good paint?
Yeah.
Oh, it was good paint.
I mean, we
Okay.
didn't
The
like blow
condition-
through any edges, obviously,
No.
but like it wasn't anything like super crazy dangerous. We took our
would
time.
Well,
say
can you
yes.
separate good paint with like a good finish, right? Because like some cars might come with like a bunch of paint on it, but like delivered with orange peel and shit like the NSX.
The Grand National. I mean, came from the factory with a horrible paint job. It was. I mean, so if you ever saw a Grand National that was clean and polished and didn't have orange peel, it had been painted.
Well, I think there's two steps too. There's the painting process and the finishing process. So like,
Well,
if you
that's
get
what I
a
just said. Can you
that's
separate
that's
those
what
two?
I was,
Yeah.
So
I'm
like
thinking,
a brand new
doesn't
Porsche
come from the
has good
manufacturer that
paint,
way.
but the way they deliver it is like crazy. If you see some of the videos, like every time I do a car,
how
it's
many
like,
fucking brand new GT3s?
it's like
do you
insane.
think?
I have like 3 as soon as I get back. GT3. So I look at them all the time. The paint is nice. The finish is horrific. It's just
Where is
that?
that process broken down at the dealer?
No, it depends.
At the
There's multiple things. There's at the factory, right? There's like a section.
Unlike Porsche to not do this right.
However, when they get shipped over, a lot of times that's still part of the dealership. You know that. So when it lands on the U.S. soil, that's still, because it's not a used car, right? It's a new car. And a lot of times they get banged up in shipment. But when they get banged up in shipment and they get fixed on U.S. soil, that's still whatever, sovereign, it's still German, you know what I mean? You're still in that area.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's been hit. So they have to fix it because they're not going to like send it back to get it repainted.
Right.
And usually, that
What, they
process-
fix it in
But
customs,
are
you
they-
mean? Like
like
in the
when-
yard?
There's
Before it
a
goes
prep
to the
area.
dealer.
Yeah, there's a prep area that like
There you
at
go.
the ports.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Everything gets done at the ports.
Think
so
about how
like
many
if there's
cars
any,
are on
if there's
that
any
boat.
kind of
No, I get it.
crazy-
but
if
like,
there's recalls that need to be done before the
Right.
cars get delivered, they get done at the ports. There's actually teams of guys.
oh
that get
yeah,
done
because
over
my
there
fucking Focus RS got held up at the port for like
that's
ever.
What that, that's what
for
that
something.
means. Is
yeah.
that there's
And that
guys
door
at the
never
port that do
opened the
that.
same way. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying?
But
It's
are
like,
they
Fuck, I
paint-
got the wrong head gasket, bro.
Yeah, that happened at the port. Are they painting cars differently or cheaper than they used to? Because I've seen in the last 2 months, I've seen a new Mercedes with orange peel. We had that new Jeep Cherokee that had orange peel. Like
The
I'm just-
orange
I'm
NSX
seeing
he's
it
driving that I had before
pretty much
is not
everywhere.
good.
It doesn't,
think
regardless
that's-
of brand. I've
I
seen
think it's a
orange peel.
double-edged question you're asking. The first one that you were asking is the difference of detailing a car. Let's say a 1988, whatever, a Countach and a 1988 Ford, whatever, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking it's relatable to the listeners. Like they're looking at Matt's car, going, "Well, I can never do that to my car. That's a Countach.
I think
my
the
Firebird
process
would never look like that."
The process, I think, it's the kind of the same mentality and same process of working a car. A lot of people, hey, I'm
Do it
working
to an MGB.
Well, you're just like, are you changing things up because it's a Ferrari versus a
Well,
Ford?
the thing is we're using the newest technology. So the stuff we used yesterday was made for today's cars,
Yeah.
not for that Lamborghini. it's just a testament that we could do what we did because of the procedures, right? And the stuff is good, but it's designed for these new cars to give you maximum gloss, minimizing the quantity of paint you're taking away. So they work great on those.
Right. I think the point I'm trying to make is, do people like approach a Lamborghini the same way that they would approach a Ford? And I say the process and the thought. It's just when I say to them, just the mistake that you're going to make on the Lamborghini, if you do make one, is going to be more expensive than the one on the Ford. That's
but the results are obtainable regardless.
Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to go it's a Lamborghini. I'm not going to touch it.
Watching what you did with his Mustang.
Remember the Mustang?
Right.
The spray paint?
So the point is that just because you did that on a Countach means that with the right product, with the right experience, with the right determination, that result can be pretty much done.
Was there a video of the Mustang, Larry?
I agree. What?
Was there a video of the Mustang? Did you guys?
Oh my God! We shot
a
4-part episode. That got a gazillion views.
Okay, so
we wet sanded
it. Go find the Mustang.
I called it like 5.0 Matt's 5.0 wet sander. What did I call
Matt's 5.0 heater.
Heater.
Yeah. Because like before I did all the body work and paint work on the Mustang, I gave it to you to do was it McGuire's detailing demo or something?
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, and the car had actually been it was spray paint. It was actual like AutoZone spray paint.
Krylon.
True.
The guy did it in spray paint.
I mean, you
he
could
did it in his
surf
house.
in that car, man. The waves are like, it was bad.
Dude. It was really bad.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And you guys did I don't know how many.
We turned that thing to glass.
It was
a great episode. It was one of my favorite episodes.
That's the first one we did together.
Yeah. So like the paint doesn't actually even have to be good.
No, it doesn't. And to Zach's question, has it painting changed? As far as I know, I think it has. I mean, chime in and stop me if I'm saying something wrong, but I think, in the painting process, they're trying to, like everything else, they're trying to minimize the amount of money spent, right? And how much time it takes to go through.
Like environmental concerns
There's
too.
environmental
water-based paints.
Yeah. Water-based paints. How long it's in the heat booth, right? Because every time a car it's a lot of money to heat that booth, right? So they're making paints thinner and thinner and thinner and harder and harder and harder.
And they're making them that they don't need a heat.
And they don't even need heat. Yeah, that kind of thing. So the paint has changed a lot, specifically with respect to the money and the environment as well.
Yeah, could you imagine if they were able to stay with the same paint for 30 years, the basics, how good it would be right now? But they can't do that. Environmental regulations, cost, all those things dictate, well, we have to make a new system, and we have 3 months or 6 months or a year to do it, and then the next one's coming. And
yeah, but think about that from a detailing perspective. All those changes on every single manufacturer with a gazillion pads and polishes, and the paint's changing, and you're supposed to use I always go, we're going to do this step and that, and they're like, what is the step for doing this? I'm like, I don't have a clue. You got to test your car. You got to, you know what I mean? There's no one right way, which makes the detailing thing like make your mind explode, because it's not just like follow this procedure and do this thing. It's different.
There's like a feel element.
Well, it's an experience.
Well, that's true too, because you did say that word verbatim that it felt different when you went ahead and cleaned the pad out and polished again.
Yesterday.
Right.
Oh
yeah. I mean, it was so like vibrant, or whatever the word is. Like when I made the mistake, I was like, it just came to me. I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot to blow the pad out. And your paint just went from like okay to like horrible. And I was like, whoa, what the hell just happened? And then I blew it out, and instantly it was perfect. I mean, it told me really fast. You could feel it in the pad too. So it's hard to be like, this one process works.
Cool.
Yeah.
When I watch Larry do his stuff, I always think about when the first time you ever go to cut your lawn. And like you don't know where to set your lawnmower, you don't know where the dips are, and the first time you're gonna cut your lawn, you set that too low and you burn the grass. And you're like, back up, I gotta start over. And then you're going through, and all of a sudden there's a dip that you didn't know was there, and you go in and you catch the dip, and it works. I mean, to me, watching what you do and the instructions that you give, that it always kind of made me feel like it was the same way. Like if I had a new yard and I was cutting grass for the first time that season, I didn't know how to set the lawnmower, or where to go, or what was imperfections were in my yard, but you learn over time, and by like the third or fourth time you cut your lawn, you know where that dip is, you know where it's supposed to be, and it becomes consistent.
I think analogies are the most important, at least for me when I'm talking, and trying to do it on camera. Like I did one that just went. It was a 5-minute video. I didn't even think of it, and it went crazy. We talked about cutting, sanding versus compound versus polishing, and I used the analogy. I can't quite remember what it was, but it was a steak knife, or a scalpel, steak knife, and a butter knife, and I was trying to explain like, hey, how it cuts. So people got that concept of what you're talking about, that lawnmower kind of concept. So what do we got going here? Why are you staring at Zach so much? You're like looking at him oddly.
Because he lingered on the fucking shot on Kevin while you were talking for like 3 minutes, and I was trying to get his attention to.
Dude, I was answering.
Can I get some camera time for
answering dumb questions?
He was,
on Google.
That's fine.
Well,
you
Kevin
can do that,
is prettier than I am,
but go to the
so.
wide if you're going to do that. That way you stay
I thought this
conservative,
was like
sir.
a show of non-rookies, but like, what's the deal over here?
Fucking amateur
It's
hour.
amateur
over there.
I like how you had to bring in 2 other people to help you clean a car. Was it 2 or was it 4?
Oh shit!
I brought in 3 other people.
And you know what? The whole time we're all by 2:00 yesterday. He goes, you know, if I was here by myself, this car would be 3/4 done right now.
I did not say that. That is a lie. That is a
No,
lie.
actually, no. What he did say was,
I'd be
if
asleep.
we didn't have to fucking film this, the car would be 3/4
I
done
did
right
say
now.
that.
Is what he did say, and he's
Yes.
completely right.
Right. The filming just like
Yeah.
drains everything. It's like to stop,
Yeah.
like redo it, stop, and then Kevin messes up his line. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, we made a
Quite
movie,
honestly.
Yeah.
and after we finished it, I go, you know what would fucking have been great if we just did that, but without the cameras.
That's
The
true.
cameras made this suck.
That's funny. Every time I wash a car now, it's like a treat to not. You know what I mean? Like I haven't washed my car.
Do you know
without
how
a camera.
nice it is to drive fast and not talk?
Yeah,
It's fucking golden. You mean I get to sing fucking Motley Crue
Yeah.
instead of talking about chassis dynamics and tires?
Yeah.
Like, fuck off!
That's funny.
Let's talk about other things. I'm sure the audience has been fucking piling in with detailing questions, haven't they, Zach? There seemed like there was a lot.
There's
There's a lot.
Good.
Oh my
Wow.
God, there's a lot. Yeah,
That's
okay. Well, we can go to the audience that clearly has lots to talk about with you guys.
let's
I mean,
bring it
I'm sure they find your time valuable. What do we got? Because I don't have. I mean, we already talked about my fucking car way too.
Wow,
much,
that's so cool. Somebody said, you don't have to read this message. Just keep up the great work.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
guess
there's
what?
people
I
who
read
just-
the message, Christopher.
Yeah. Patrick says, I love the podcast. Is it better to start a detailing side hustle or find a job detailing, presumably for somebody else to gain experience? Anyone
if
want
you
to
want to
weigh
gain
in?
Give
experience,
advice.
give them the liability.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, get a job.
Yeah.
and get paid
for it,
either
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Get paid either way.
But
Clock
the
in,
other thing we
clock
did in
out,
the
go home.
ATA is
Done.
just go across the street and literally go to the body shop, grab a scrap metal, and they're like, "You want the junk?" And we're like, "Yeah, I'll take that." They're like, "Okay."
I'll take
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Take it, put it on a stand. So now you're in for $35 for a stand or whatever it is, and sit there and grind away. And I think the best advice is try to ruin the paint. Burn through the paint. See what it smells like. See what it feels like. How hard is it to get through the paint?
Just
like
like
a race car
go
driver.
buy a hood,
Right.
put it on a stand.
No,
and
no,
get-
no. Don't buy a hood. Just take it
Oh,
from a
just-
guy's and throw it away.
Yeah,
like
whatever.
it's junk. And then practice that way. It's pretty simple.
That's
I
a very
think.
good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burn through
but
the
if you
paint.
can get someone to pay you to learn,
Yeah, if you
I
can get
highly-
out.
I'm saying
I
at the same
advocate
time.
for paying to learn.
I'm saying at the same
Being paid
time.
to
At
learn.
the
Yeah.
same time. I love this one. This guy says, Larry, now that it's been 10 years, can you finally tell us
Wait,
what
we have to. You can't skip around, dude.
Why?
Because there's a fucking. This isn't nom. There are rules.
I'm excited to answer that one.
I gotta
is
organize.
not
I
nom.
go because these guys are organized.
Organize it. Okay.
Nobody goes to jail unless they want to. Sorry.
All right, so
That's
what is
from
the organization?
Goodfellas. That's from Goodfellas.
What
you
is the
go
organization?
in fucking order from the top to the bottom, you idiot.
But there's some that are red, there's some that are yellow, there's
That's
some that are
because
blue.
that's sorted by the amount of cashish. But we don't.
Cashish.
It's okay. All of them are above the
top to
threshold.
bottom.
This is a little. This
I
is a little
relinquish
inside
control to you.
baseball.
Please
but-
read the next one.
You guys, I'm gonna get a little inside baseball. We read the questions from top to bottom
Got
in
it.
order.
All right.
The order they
I'm
appear.
sorry if that's too
Write
much
that
to
down.
handle. The same dude says advice for someone who's looking for a career in cars but has no college education. I
Career
think
in
it's possible
cars?
to have a lot of careers in cars without a
I
college.
think there's a lot of careers without
You
college.
have college? Do you have? Are you have a college education? Right?
Film school.
Okay, yeah, film school.
didn't finish.
I have fucking art school. I don't have real college education. No, and even if I did, no one cares.
Film
Nobody cares.
school, art school, high school.
High school,
high school.
high
That's
school.
it.
Yeah,
Am I the only?
I went to college.
Larry went to college. I went to college.
Am I the only one who went to college?
I
here?
went. No, I went to college, but I fucking studied art. I didn't study
Yeah,
things
fair
like
enough.
I think there's a lot you can do in cars, and most people don't give a shit if you went to college unless you
No,
go
they
to work
don't.
for an OEM in an office or something. I don't
Right.
think anyone really cares.
No.
The only thing I ever use is my Excel class.
I mean, even like Vin, like even like Vinny has probably the most. He doesn't wear a suit, but he has the most suity job of us. And
He had a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
yeah,
he
yeah.
uses-
I use a
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet. That's about it.
And like, would it have mattered if you went to college or not? Not at all. Not at all. I think it's personality, experience, willingness to learn, and enthusiasm more than anything else.
Agreed.
Dan says, Larry, now that it's been 10 years, can you finally tell us what the device was on the front of the Blackbird Audi R8?
Should I give you the honors or should I take the honors?
Listen, I blew this up like 6 years ago. Have you
so
not? Have you still not?
No, I haven't not
This
said
shit
it. I
is
just
hilarious. This is some stupid shit. So this dude who is like a real nerd named Andre.
Let's go easy there.
He is.
Yeah. No, he definitely is. But
That's it.
Yes.
He's a nerd named Andre.
Yeah, but he has access to like nukes. All right, he's like crazy. Like
Whatever. I'll go easy because he whatever. He doesn't like
he's
me.
intense. He's like he's to listen. I'm like he's listening to us right now. He's
Whatever.
He's intense, and coming from you,
That's
Jesus.
crazy. Yeah,
That's terrifying.
No, he was intense. No,
he's a nice guy. I just I wouldn't go messing with him. That's
Whatever. So anyway, he bought an R8 and he fucking spent like $1 zillion putting all these stupid electronics in it for Bull Run, which didn't keep fucking Larry out of jail one bit.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And including this thing, go back to the picture, Zach, this thing he shoved on
You
the
know what
on
they
the
called
grill.
it? Infosonic wave generator.
Yeah. So they put this they put
sounded
this
really
thing
good.
sounded
It sounded
good.
so good.
Yeah, they put this thing on and then he started the hype machine as to what it is.
We would plug things into those like on the above of those green things.
Yeah.
Which were literally was what's the
Antifreeze.
Not
No,
antifreeze.
it
It was
was,
when you cook. What's the cooking? Coloring.
It's food coloring.
Food coloring. Food
Yeah.
coloring.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
food coloring.
No, the bottom
We
line
plugged
is
the
it's
thing.
fake. It's nothing. It's just a
It's
thing.
absolutely nothing. It's
just
a piece of metal.
It's a movie prop.
Yeah, but you
looks
plug it
kinda
in,
cool.
and he had a computer program, so we would go and put the computer there, flip the thing up, plug it in to nothing.
Yeah.
And then he had a program.
He
'cause
really-
he's a
he really
video
sold-
editor.
yeah.
So
Like
he,
the flux
makes
capacitor.
videos.
That's right.
And he push a button like the space bar, and the things would go up and down. And he would tell he would took what's the thing where you hit? There's the two bars and you hit them.
Tuning
and,
fork.
The tuning
Yeah.
fork. He would take the tuning fork.
I remember.
And tell people to back
He
up. He's
really
like, back up,
did.
back up, back up. It's
Yeah.
You're getting too close
He
to
told
it.
people
Oh,
not
that's
to have their nuts near it.
Yeah.
It was
That's
actually
great.
very
Wow.
funny.
But-
They really sold at the time. They really, and they had me and Alex Roy
Like
both
vouch for it?
vouching for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which was
So
like
for Bull
super,
Run, we would
super
say,
street
well, every
cred.
car-
Don't get in front of the car.
Yeah, every
So
car
you
that-
have to be the first car. Otherwise, we're gonna like nuke all your stuff in the car. People believed it. It's the greatest
yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah. 100%.
For 10
wow.
years,
We everybody thought it was like
crazy.
an electromagnetic pulse that was going to come
Yeah.
out of the front of that
Yeah.
and fry
Yeah.
your car. And all
Yeah.
kinds, I mean, because we all had crazy electronics in all those cars in Bull Run that year.
Bro,
Yeah.
the forum threads.
Oh, yeah.
The speculative forum threads
You have to
are
agree.
all still there,
It was
and they're
genius.
incredible.
It's genius. It's a
Yeah.
piece of metal that like it was whittled out by AI or whoever did that, right? AI design.
No, I think it's like it was
An
like
Amy-
part of a differential cover
Oh,
or
yeah.
part of a motorcycle engine casing or something. Because it had the little like window thing in it, like you'd use to like check oil.
No, but if you look at the thing, I think they welded on
Like a lens of some
camera,
kind?
like
Yeah,
an old
yeah.
lens camera on it. Look, see the little lens camera? It's
really fucking
They
funny.
tinted it, so he would go
It's a
over,
really
kneel
funny
down,
gag.
and twist the little knob there, and it would change the little thing, and he would twist it at the same time. He's like pushing the computer to make it like change.
Oh, boy.
It was hysterical.
I'll
People
tell you
lost
what,
their
it's
minds.
a really funny goof.
Yeah.
It's still, now that I look at the picture, it's still fucking
And if you
fun.
look at those green things, those
funny
green things
today.
were tucked into into the front.
They're
grill.
hoses.
Yeah.
They're
They
too
don't go
cool.
anywhere.
No.
If anyone
No.
ever went there and pulled them out, they don't go anywhere. It's a circle.
It looks like a liquid cooled computer, and
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
great.
like it has coolant going.
was great.
It's very.
But I
cool.
mean, that's Bull Run. I mean, that's the
Oh.
whole like pageantry.
Yeah.
Everybody had something.
it's all.
Yeah.
Fucking,
We were dressed in
it's all a
BDUs.
goof.
I got pulled through the window in camouflage in the middle of the desert.
All that bullshit. All that fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't keep you out of jail.
Yeah.
That's very funny though. Nate says, helping my dad restore his '64 Chevelle. Any tips on how to clean a yellowing white vinyl top and a foggy plastic rear window?
That's you guys. You guys are the muscle car people.
How do you clean a white vinyl top?
Does it say convertible or just?
Yeah.
Convertible. Yeah, it's a yellow convertible top, not a Landau roof.
Well,
It's a yellowing white. It's yellow.
when I used to do this on a regular basis, you would still scrub them up with an all-purpose cleaner, like you can get-
you'd use on a boat, like a boat
like
deck
a simple
cleaner.
green
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And on some cars, you'd want to.
some alkalinity to it.
Yeah, you'd want to definitely on a lot of those cars, you would put some masking tape down and put some plastic because it will
Soft
etch
bristle brush.
into the paint, right? And
Yeah.
then you use a stiff nylon bristle brush to agitate it. I used to mix it with car wash soap and some all-purpose cleaner, and then rinse it off. And then if you have any scuffs that didn't come off, You could use the poor man's dry cleaning solution, lacquer thinner, on a cotton towel.
Very, very gentle.
Well, no, it's a great cleaner.
It is.
It's a great cleaner. It evaporates quickly, so it doesn't soak. It's not too hot like acetone. It won't melt it. So I used hundreds of gallons of lacquer thinner with no
I did the
obvious
same.
side effects.
What about the
side
yellowing
effect of
plastic
removing hair.
rear window?
They're a
can
little
that be
more
fixed?
difficult. They can be to a degree, but if it's crispy or it's got little cracks in it,
Yeah,
it needs
it's
just be
toast.
replaced.
Yeah.
But certainly
You can polish it.
You can polish it just like you do automotive paint or tail lights or headlights. And a lot of times you can get a lot of that yellowing. The yellowing is dead oxidized plastic.
Kind of like the headlight.
But you should back it. You should put a piece of board and a towel and have somebody hold it inside while you polish the
Can you
outside.
imagine the guy
don't
polishing the plastic and it's like push.
Yeah, you'll,
like shit.
you'll stretch it.
It's got like a mark.
Yeah, you could stretch it or you could break the threads.
Like heating a big bubble of it.
It's like it's going all the way through. And like it's clean, but now you have a.
Yeah.
Speaking of headlights, did you end up popping my lenses off?
No,
There's a little bit of grime inside my my blinker lenses, and I was like, you're gonna check
unlike
those.
the McLaren, we could just like, do a few screws. Remember that? And we popped it off, and like the lenses were just sitting there. You don't have that.
Dude, Kamisa cleaned the inside of his Ferrari 304 taillights,
Yeah.
and it's like. It looks like he bought new taillight covers.
Yeah.
Like there was so much shit on the inside
To
of them,
get those
and now they're
off
red.
though, that's got to be like insane amount of work.
Lee's guys, I think probably Bryson the painter, took my taillight lenses apart and like cleaned and polished the lenses, and it looks like he got new lenses. But if he had, they would have been thousands of dollars. That Porsche lens in the back
thing, it always
is
goes back.
so
It's super
expensive.
Because everybody's has an issue with it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Cool.
We skipped one.
Yeah, skip.
Oh, we did? Sorry. Larry, which one of your products is your favorite or has the most benefit to a car? So your products, by the way, which we haven't really talked about, ammo products.
NYC, yes.
Yeah, AmmoNYC.com. They expensive, but they nice.
No, they're nice. They are nice. They are nice. I don't know. You get what you pay for. I would say Hydrate is by far the most popular.
That's just the wash soap, right? Pretty much.
No. That's the drying aid.
Oh.
Yeah, that stuff is crazy.
If you had some at the house, you'd probably know what they were.
This is true.
Listen. It comes in. You don't, things arrive, and they haven't arrived from him. So what the fuck can I say?
I
When
lost
you
your
literally
address.
live in free car care products, why are you going to buy this expensive ass shit?
Well,
It's
thank
that
you.
UPS
That's
driver,
why I'm
man.
gonna. That's why I should live in your car care products. Vin, when we redo the garage and get rid of the cabinets, we'll build the ammo shelving.
I like it.
And
We'll do a
Larry
whole
will
POP
stock it.
We'll do a whole POP display.
Yeah,
I like
forever,
it.
for
I
life.
like
Plus,
Those-
you get a lot of free car care from like really established brands that people trust.
Oh, here we go.
Shots
Who's that?
fired.
Who's that gremlin in the corner over there? I can't see him.
That's right. I have 2 jobs, and that's what.
Bro, hashtag
Go fuck
Patterson
yourself.
care. I'm just kidding.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I'm just kidding. And I love David.
Yeah.
He's.
Nice. Oh boy. Moving on.
Oh, come on! Don't be. He gets so defensive.
I'm not. This is
You
great.
can't send it this way. and
This
I
is
expect it to be
great.
sent
I
back.
can't wait
What
to
are we
see.
doing?
I break my key out when I go past the Countach next time.
So what is Hydrate? You never actually finished.
Hydrate is a drying aid. It's by far the most popular product we have. It's basically a lubricant when you're drying the paint. Most people focus on lubricating the paint when you're washing it, soaps and water and all this kind of stuff, but they kind of forget the other part. You're using chamois and beach towels years ago. I don't think people are doing that so much now, but so we introduced a product
Wait,
that...
you mean by years ago? You mean fucking beach towels, right? People still use chamois. Do we still use chamois or no?
I mean, it was just like, how do you the point of the story is you focus all your time and energy on washing it, but nobody thought about drying it. It's anytime you touch the paint, I think you should have as much lubrication as possible. So nobody did anything, and so we came out with the Hydrate as a lubricant. That's the most popular, and now it's a kind of a mainstay thing for a maintenance wash as opposed to polishing, because it does leave behind some shine and things which would interfere with polishing.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. So
Cool.
there you go.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wait, hang on. Go back up. Larry, does Reflex have a shelf life? I'm still on my original bottle I bought in 2017, and I wonder if it's lost any effectiveness.
If it's not opened, it's at least a year life. But if it's open, then and air has gotten to it, then there could be some issues. You'll be able to see in there if it's coagulated or it's.
So if it looks nasty, it's no bueno.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to maybe less effective if it hasn't. If he opened it up and smelled it and played with it and put whatever and put it back and then like it wasn't closed right, then it's useless. It's just like anything else. So
Got it. Dan says, happy to see you driving the NSX, Larry. I worked where Honda makes the NSX. Is it in Marysville? Is it made in Ohio?
No, we're going tomorrow. I'm going there tomorrow to see the NSX factory in Ohio. What did you say?
Ohio.
What's
It's
the
Ohio.
town? What's the town?
Is it Marysville?
I don't know.
No,
We talked
Marysville's
about
the
that.
Honda plant.
We know we're going to Ohio. That's it.
What?
We know we're going to Ohio.
Yeah.
We haven't actually seen beyond that. We're getting
Okay.
on a plane.
It is made in
and
Ohio.
we're being met there.
Right.
I feel bad for the gentleman who works there, and I don't know the name. But it is definitely made in Ohio. Wait, go back to the rest of his question. One of my projects was improving the SOP for paint correction at the plant.
We're literally going to that section.
Oh,
of
really?
that place.
Well, his name is Dan Kilgore. So there you go. Shout out to Dan Kilgore.
That's interesting.
What's
Nice.
SOP?
Standard operating procedure.
Oh, sorry, yeah, duh.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it's not in my vernacular for.
It is now.
that is now.
The paint on the NSX wasn't really great, was it? I mean, if we're honest,
I thought the paint was pretty good.
didn't you guys? Some people pointed out some orange peel to me.
Was there orange peel on the paint?
Well, it has texture. You know, when you're in the sun, you don't
That's
see
real.
it.
That's really.
Yeah.
That's political. You really
Wonderful.
dialed that down a bit. I can say that shit.
In the shade, it's more noticeable. You
Was
see
it?
it differently. You see the top of the clear, but in the sun, it's such a vibrant color that you had.
Right.
You don't see the clear. It goes right to the base coat of the
Yeah,
the
they said.
orange.
What did they say? It was a medium paint job or
but
something?
Yeah, it's not their highest grade.
Yeah, there's like an average, there's a
Yeah.
medium, and then there's like a ridiculous one that we're going to see tomorrow.
But
Is
if we
the
could-
ridiculous the silver?
No, it's I should know this. It's all I
it's a new thing.
It's a new thing. Yeah.
What is the? There's
But
a new
keep in mind that
process
this
or
medium
new-
grade paint job is a $10,000 option on
yeah.
that NSX.
This new one is
I'd
like
be mildly
bonkers.
annoyed if I was charged $10,000 and got orange peel. I mean, I would.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of the NSX. Did you guys enjoy the NSX?
Oh,
it was
absolutely.
insane.
I mean,
was
I'm
nice.
not.
It was
it's
really
pretty
impressive.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed with the driving and the car. Just you could just feel that thing just
It's
pulling
fast.
and braking, and it had a good turn radius, and it just was everything was like
really nice.
really solid.
Hey, can I say something about the orange peel factor? Okay,
What?
so I'm thinking if I'm a listener of this program and I hear this talking about orange peel, are we saying orange peel is the principal
end all,
part of being a bad paint job?
I don't know. Are we?
No, I think that by
Opinion?
default you have to have a little. I think it's a decent thing. The what do we say? The default or the byproduct of orange peel is that it's easier to correct. If you have something that's perfectly flat and you literally just go like that, you've now scratched the paint, and it's like it's going to drive you nuts every time you walk up to it. So some cars inherently have a little bit of leeway there.
I just
So-
wanted to
Zach
play-
and I
Yeah,
got a
it's not
Jeep
necessarily bad.
press car. Well, Zach did, not I. But Zach had a Jeep press car. It was a Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. that it?
No, it was
the-
like limited altitude. It's one of those.
Like a mid-range
Summit, yeah.
Grand Cherokee, whatever. But we noticed that both the front grille, the front part of the hood, and the front bumper had a lot of orange peel, and like the rest of the car, like kind of didn't.
Not so much.
Could that have been like intentional, so that an area that might get scratched up more easily
Was it a different material? Was it like one was plastic and one was
Well, the
metal?
bumper was like rubbery
But the hood-
something, and the hood was metal. The hood was aluminum.
And the
hood's
steel
probably aluminum and-
Yeah,
They were both equally, whatever.
we noticed it on both
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. That's
They can be those components can be sprayed at different factories and brought in.
right.
Some of those you want it to be flexible and resilient. They don't flow as well. I mean, there could be a number of things if
Right.
they were doing
the
it.
GT3 gets painted, like the wing has got to get painted somewhere else because the car is usually okay. The wing is a nightmare. It's
Yeah,
a
it never
completely
matches.
different. It's
Really?
it's
Never
insane.
matches.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible that
Interesting.
our memory, my memory is bad in that when I look at new cars, I think, wow, I'm noticing this more. Is it happening more, or am I just looking
They're
for
bigger
it and
panels
noticing
now.
it more?
you
Bigger
know?
panels.
Yeah.
Okay.
The earlier ones you just had two bumper covers, right? And they were having problems with those, and they would use this product called a flex agent to help the paint flow out. It wasn't to make it more flexible like we think because it's, because it's bendy and flexible and twisty. They would use a flex agent to help the paint flow out smoother. But you have to keep in mind, because it's plastic, that paint has to be really bendable and flexy and twisty. And there's other things going on that would cause, imagine if there was some kind of electrostatic in the plastic. And it dries differently. It doesn't have the ability to flow out like it does on an aluminum panel or a metal
absorption
panel.
rates on plastic if it absorbs into it or
you could,
not.
Or you could heat the panel that's
Right.
metal higher temperature than you can a plastic panel.
Right.
all these things would dictate that you adjusting how that paint flows out. It either continues to flow or it stops flowing and starts to cure, and that stalls it and makes it orange peel more. So it's really about how quickly it's catalyzing or drying versus how long it can flow.
So we agree then.
To your point,
orange peel doesn't mean it's a bad paint job.
It doesn't. It actually has some positive effects. I mean, if you took a cardboard box and set it on a trunk and, let me set this here, and it slid, if you have orange peel texture, it's easy to get that out of the tops of the orange peel texture.
Right.
But if
I understand Derek's question is because when I looked at it, it looks imperfect. It doesn't look like, when you see a corrected car or a car that has a very expensive paint job, and it has like that mirror finish, and you look down it and you can see it's just flat and reflecting whatever you.
Definitely.
So if that's the bar, and then I look at a new car and I go, well, this has waves in it, So I think, I was making it sound like that was a bad paint job because in my head it looks less than optimum. But maybe you guys can comment on if have you noticed that more in the last 10, 20, 30 years?
I think it's the consistency that matters. If you have orange peel on one panel, a perfect panel on the next one, and an orange peel again, then you lose your mind.
And again, you would assume something, a person I know that was in a very high-end facility, I don't want to name it, but this is multi-$100,000 vehicles, and they're known for the ultimate paint jobs, okay? They would actually take a sanding disc and do an up, down on the door, up, stop, pull the disc. These are $7 a disc retail. Up, down, disc, pull the disc. The whole car, massive cars.
Disc is
beautiful.
5 inches in diameter.
So my point is they are sanding off the stuff that you're seeing and saying, hey, that's not quality. Well, there's another big step to making it quality.
This sounds like the kind of thing Rolls Royce would do with the dealer. Right. That's a fucking phantom drop head move right there.
Okay, so
it is 100%, right?
It could feasibly be the same exact paint factory facility, but that next step, which is thousands and thousands of dollars to get it to where you deem it as like, hey, that's quality. Well, it is quality because there was another finishing step involved.
Because they put it in that crazy light tube room and sat there for 12
obvious.
hours.
When you see one and the body panels are perfect, you can go, my gosh.
There's $800 of sandpaper in the MSRP of this car.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
cool. All right, so I apologize to Acura. It's not shitty. It's just got orange peel on it, which could go either way.
Just a side note.
Side note. Yep. MB is Frenchie. Hello again. This is a regular of regulars. Larry, most fun you had with Matt, car and non-car related.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Wow. This could be good.
I don't even know.
I mean, I can give one. So this is my 18th birthday. It was my 18th birthday, right?
I know.
And my girlfriend was had broken up with me on that day.
Right.
Might have been my 17th. I think it was my 17th birthday. Girlfriend had broken up with me on that day, and I was not feeling good about myself. And my family was going to take everybody, all our friends, to Benihana because that was our thing, the Japanese steakhouse for the birthday. But I was like not happy about it being my birthday party and this girl
having to entertain all these people during that time.
Yeah, and she was, if you recall, very fucking hot too. It was really a heartbreaker at the time. Right. And Larry had gotten himself a new car that day. I didn't actually know about it, but he showed up at my parents' house in a 1981 Volkswagen Rabbit diesel that he bought for $50, I think, right?
It was like $50 or $60 from my uncle. Yeah.
And it was the worst car that ever existed.
At the same time, it was the most fun car ever.
Yeah.
Because on the way from when I bought it upstate and drove it home, the hood flew off. Flew over the car, landed in the road, and then I had to pull over, obviously, and run out and get it. So I ran out and get it. By the time I got it, a car ran it over, and there was a tire mark right through so it pinched a little bit, and there was a tire mark through it. So I grabbed it, I held it on the roof and just slowly drove home. So we ended up putting it back together, and then something broke, and I was like, I can't pay, I'm not gonna pay. So I put a metal wire through there so that if I needed to open the hood, I'd have to put my finger through this thing and then pull it, but it stuck out like that far out of the hood because it was, it was taut, it was straight. So to pull it, that's what I would do. Anyways, I did all that stuff. I bandaged it up. And I drove over to Matt's house, 5 seconds. And I'm like, dude, you gotta check this out.
And this fucking diesel rabbit smoked like crazy.
Remember the headliner?
It smoked. It didn't have a headliner. It had no headliner, and the inside of the roof was rusted, but it vibrated so much from the diesel that rust flakes. You'd have rust dandruff.
Awesome. And you remember drying it out? It was like, what?
Well, That really looks almost exactly
was
like
it right
it. That
there.
might even be it.
Yeah,
that looks
that was
like your
it.
fucking dad's garage too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That thing was
That might
awesome.
actually be it. And so
It ran,
it was
man.
really bad. And dude, we get on the highway. So we went to high school in a very wealthy school and grew up in an upper middle class area, probably a rich area, upper middle class area. So like we did have friends that had like really nice cars, and we had friends that had like not so nice cars, but we didn't really have any friends that had like a real fucking horrible shitbox. This was our first Larry, because Larry actually had this. He had a fucking sick Fox body. Yeah. All our friends had Mustangs together. We all had 5 of us. We all had Mustangs. He had the first one though, and his was really nice.
89 LX.
It was a really nice car, and God, I wish we still had
25th
that.
anniversary.
It was
such
a
waste.
great car,
Yeah.
and but he didn't want to drive in the snow, so he was the first one with a proper winter beater.
$70. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Are you crazy? And it's
At
my
one point-
uncle. My uncle was a diesel mechanic. So the
think
car ran great, but the problem is I had to have a tank of propane, and I let off and to
Starter
start. No, to heat it up. Remember?
Oh,
Because it was
heat
too-
up
like-
the
I like
glow
the sound
plug.
effects.
Yeah,
So I had
torch.
So we're at like this $1 billion school with like fancy cars. I have to stick a pencil or a pen through that thing because it hurt my finger. Pull it, pop this hood that now still has a tire mark through it.
Oh yeah, the reason the hood thing mattered is because you had to open the hood every time.
So I'm in the parking lot every day.
Just
It's like with all these like rich kids, and I'm pulling out, and like the teachers are like, "This guy's pulling out a blowtorch in the parking lot." I'm heating up the glow plugs because it didn't work for whatever reason. I'd sit there like this, so run back in the car, run back over there, heat it up, and like these guys are rolling in like Range Rovers, and I'm like, "Hey, I'll see you in class tomorrow."
Yeah,
So-
a parking lot full of brand new Grand Cherokees, and
Yeah,
here's
it's-
fucking Larry.
Yeah.
It was
That's
incredible.
amazing.
I mean,
Fun car,
when
though.
I tell you that I was broken up with that day, and in a half hour of this car, I was the happiest person
Because
I was
his street-
crying. I was laughing so hard, I was crying.
I remember looking at you because his road to your house was windy, and when I wind it out, it would go, "Oh, no," and then you shift it, and the car would go, boom. It would just bang like this. And I remember looking over at you, and you were laughing, crying, and your hand was on the ceiling because the seats were like going nuts. And I just remember that so vividly. It was the greatest moment ever.
I was cheered the fuck up.
yeah.
Larry had.
Is this Larry and his friend going to school?
That's pretty much it, man.
I feel like if cars are passing and you're like, I got this train track. This trolley car, see?
Dude, Larry's high school cars were amazing.
Yeah,
like,
they were
because
sweet.
like he had, most people who, if they didn't get into a big crash or something, had one car for high school.
Right.
Larry had like 6.
Yeah, I definitely had 6 or
We're
7.
going to go through all
they're
of
all
Larry,
like 60
all of
bucks.
Larry's high school cars, and they were
Yeah.
all, with the exception of the Mustang, they were all
Yeah.
terrible. The
Had the
83 Buick Skylark.
That thing was the bomb.
83.
It had the digital where the speed went like that, where like the little
the
orange thing would
83
go.
Buick Skylark.
Every time you drove it, it was a video game to get the high score.
Yeah, it was the greatest thing ever.
Oh, it was wait,
blue. It
is
was
that
baby blue.
83? It might have been newer. It might have been like an 85 then. It might have been. It's a little newer than that one.
That one for sure.
It was terrible. Is that it?
Keep
Yeah, it was
going.
one of those.
Whatever. It took every time you hit the gas, it would go.
Yeah, that's right. Boom, and it would just explode. 'Cause we'd always floor it. I mean, we're 18 years old. I was flooring it every day. And as soon as you hit the gas, you could hear the engine go. And in a second, it go. It just like freak out and then go. It's so great. And the front was spinning like this. It was nuts.
Oh, that was the year. That was definitely the year.
Yeah, that was it. That one right there.
Fucking horrible.
Was the torque steer like crazy?
No, there was no torque. It was.
It was great. Had a really
torque.
super thin, like plastic steering wheel. I remember that like vividly.
So terrible.
Yeah.
Then there was the Mustang, which was good.
Yeah, that thing was cool.
There was the Cougar.
I had the Cougar.
The
That I
black-
had for like 10 seconds.
Like an 87 Cougar. Yeah, you had it for like
My
for a
uncle
second.
would repair cars. He couldn't be able to sell them, and I'd be like, "I'll take it for $72." He's like, "Just get it off the lot."
Yeah.
And so I would take it. It cost me like $300
Top
to
right,
register.
Zach.
you know?
Top right. Yeah, there she is with that big Mercury grill.
Yeah, but that paint is like concourse paint. This was destroyed. I didn't have like a back seat in that one or something. That was kind of a sketch mobile. That was a little weird.
And then there was like the 26-foot F350,
which we had
dually.
ridiculous fun in going to
Yeah.
concerts and whatnot.
Had 2 fuel tanks, big fucking old square body Ford F350,
Oh, man.
which What did your dad do with that truck? This was Larry.
Just wait a second. I have 2 great stories about this. When I bought the truck from my uncle, by the time I got home, the serpentine belts in this turbo diesel, old school diesel, busted. So I had to figure out a way to get home. I finally got home, got there, right? So it was so tall that I had to sit on the engine to pull one of the pulley, to put a bar in and pull the pulley to remove
tensioner pulley.
Tensioner pulley.
Yeah.
Thank you. So as I'm pulling the tensioner pulley. No. It's fine. I'm fixing it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And we had a tenant that lived upstairs in our old house. And so I'm sitting on the engine because it's really, really tall. So I pop it out, put it on, I'm like, look at me. I'm Mr. Mechanic. It's great. As I get to jump off, you're like this on the hood, and I just jump off to get on the hood latch catches, and excuse me, this is the thing, catches my anus. I'm not lying. And rips it. I hit the ground. Remember when I came into school? I hit the ground. I'm using that word because that's the actual word because I had to go to the hospital.
Need thicker pants.
It's okay. You can say anus.
Well, whatever.
It's fine. You're allowed.
I hit the ground.
He always fixes cars naked.
I passed out. The upstairs neighbor, the lady that lived upstairs, came down and got my parents and woke me up. And I remember I was in a puddle of sweat, and I was obviously bleeding out of my butt. And I had to go to school the next day, so I patched the whole thing up, blah, 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 blah. Later on, to Matt's point, I go to school, the whole thing, and he's like laughing and crying and the whole 9 yards. I come home, and I was like, yo, Dad, where's the 26-foot truck I just bought? The driveway's like pretty small. Like, where's the truck? And this is him. He's sitting there like this. He's like,
he's sitting in his chair on a computer.
On a laptop. And I'm like, yo, where's my truck? Because at that point, I was going through cars. I didn't have... And he's like, well, okay. So let's talk for a second. I'm like, oh, all right. So he ended up trading the truck, make a long story short, to some random dude for a laptop. So I had no laptop. He was on his laptop. He's like, give me a second. I'm like, what just happened right here? He's like, it was too big for the driveway. I was like, can we have a discussion about this? He's like, it's got 5 RAM or whatever. I'm like,
It's a Pentium.
it's a Pentium processor. Yeah, so I've had some crazy trucks for sure. What?
To be fair, that truck did try to kill you.
Yeah, this is true.
It did.
Yes.
Yeah, once it got into your anus, it had to go. Fuck.
I did have to go.
Well,
That's a pretty solid rule, I think, in any household.
there's a few high school car stories for you.
Yeah.
Question about can you do a video about 3M paint protection film versus Expel in real world conditions?
Pro, cons, 3M, Expel. Why does Expel need a sealant?
There's like 7 questions in there. You can really just pick the overall arching question.
A lot
also,
less 3M licensed shop than Expel. I think that's the best question. It's because Expel is, they market really well, just like any branding company.
I shout out to Expel. They just did my whole 911.
Yeah, my car's wrapped in it too.
Amazing.
Yes, it's
Chris West. Shout out.
No arguments there. It's
I have a video about that, by the way, coming.
Yeah, shoot one for you.
Larry, love your content and your passion. Correcting tiny pinhead paint chips on the front without repainting. Can you do anything?
That's what we saw. That's not. Those are pinhead paint chips. Those are usually
like gravel, like rock.
Right, we call that
mix.
shotgun blast. Your car had like every square inch had shotgun blast on the front of it.
Like it's been driven on a road?
Yeah, exactly. It's totally normal.
I don't know.
So there's really no way, if that's what he's talking about, unless you guys have another idea of touching that up, you would lose your... that's even too tedious.
Like, could you put touch-up paint like on the head of a fucking paper clip?
They sell those really, really tiny little brushy things for that, right? Isn't that for like...
They're talking like literally the size of pins, pin marks. You couldn't...
Yeah.
Even if you could...
You can rent Larry's
this
dick.
This is kind of technical.
You couldn't afford it,
You
buddy.
couldn't get the paint to drop in there because there'd be a microscopic amount of air in the way. You'd have to pop the bubble.
Oh my God,
suck
really?
it in. You'd
Yeah.
have to vacuum it in.
Wow.
Just like you do windshields.
Yeah.
You think of how they do a windshield?
Oh,
like
yeah, good
if you
point.
just put the resin there, like go.
You guys forgot who
No,
you
you
were
gotta
dealing
suck
with.
it in.
there-
Yeah.
So
Is there-
kind of that problem.
Is there something that you should do if you have that? Like, can you seal that? Just keep waxing it? I mean, is that going to ever...
wax the car and drive it, or
And
get
just-
it repainted.
Yeah,
It's never going to happen.
At that
that's-
point, you're obviously driving the car. There's nothing you could do. So just enjoy it. And
If he's talking about pinholes, that's insane.
Yeah, pinhole.
There's nothing you can do to that, unfortunately.
All right.
Massive fan of all of you, detailers.
Yeah, buddy. Detailers,
boy.
what is your take on Pns Bead Maker? And do you think we are at the point where sealants are making wax redundant, excluding concourse. Does the depth and shine still match?
I can't speak to whatever product he's talking about. I don't have the chemistry behind that one. But I don't know what you guys feel about that. I say no. I don't think that waxes and sealants are past its prime or whatever.
I don't think so. I mean, they do different things. If you take a traditional carnauba style wax, it's basically natural wax, and they strip it off the palm tree leaf, and then they go ahead and dry it out and grade it from 1 to 5, number 1 being the best. Then you have to figure out, well, how to get this in the bottle or the can, right? And so you put a solvent in there and some oils and emollients, and then you apply it to your car, and those solvents evaporate, and now you have a layer of wax sitting on the car, being held on by friction. So paint expands and contracts. It's not sticking on there. It's resting on there.
Right.
So it's going to be the least durable.
Right.
So you go something like a sealant or a polymer that's got that kind of technology that can actually microbond and cross-link. That's more durable, but it's not as pretty. It's still very difficult to match the beauty of natural wax.
Agreed.
But like he says, they are getting really good because now we're not just using polymer. They're using silicones and things like that cause them to feel slippery and flow. And then you go to the coatings, which is extremely durable and super clear, but they can tend to have a plasticky look. But all of these are exceptionally good now, so you can't make a bad choice. And there's times where you might want to have a carnauba wax because it is a layer that can move around and be, just slip and slide. You get under trees on a regular basis that's dropping material on it. You want some slip. You don't want it to bite in. You get water spots. It's good to have a barrier that's going to slip and slide and degrade easy versus something like a coating that maybe doesn't have the same slipperiness factor. So there's pluses and minuses to all of them. The other thing is cost, and the other thing is you know what you're doing?
I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah,
we start getting into the coatings and things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of safety issues. They're like, they can
That's
cause
a big thing too. And the
trade-off.
sprays are fantastic. I mean, some of them are every bit as durable and beautiful as all of the products we talked about.
I think the bigger thing is I don't think you can put one thing short of a clear bottle. You can't just put one thing on your car and be like, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of here. And that sort of mentality. I think it's certainly a lot in the U.S.
But that's a popular
take a pop
product.
A pill and then I'm done,
Yeah.
and then I don't have to ever go to the gym and work out. I can be Arnold Schwarzenegger is kind of like my thing. It's like, no, you have to actually do stuff, and you have to maintain especially you have to maintain the paint if you want to keep it to look like looking like that. So there's no miracle. I'm not sure if that's what he's asking about, but.
Okay.
There you go.
I think that's close enough.
Oh, that's your boy again?
Yeah, I know he's a regular. I'm gonna actually answer his second part myself. What do you suggest for average person in terms of cleaning and polishing for lease returns? I suggest fucking 0. They can eat a dick. Right? Why would you spend money to polish a lease return? Who cares?
Well, you get hit on the back end.
Only if it's damaged, not if it's not polished. You don't get hit for paint for a car not being polished and you return a lease. You get hit
I
if
think
it's
technically
damaged.
you're probably right.
Yeah.
Dealerships are different, but if you want to roll in and just hand your whatever,
if you want to burn $500, knock yourself out. But I'm saying don't. Larry, how do you deal with your knees and joint wear long term?
That's actually one that's stumping me. I don't know. I'm now taking a whole new stance, no pun intended, on taking care of myself because I'm getting a bit of. So I have a new knee. This knee's going to go soon. So yeah, I'm definitely having some health things I need to concentrate on. Specifically, I think a lot of the chemicals. There's all this detailing and all this wonderful stuff, but at the end of the day, we are breathing in things that aren't so good, and these chemicals, and the focus has been on, if I put something on my car, I don't want it to ever come off, and I'll charge $1 zillion for it in these coatings and things. And I think it's great. I think the technology is going in the right way, but I think going for just the money and how the longevity is, there's other factors. I think the safety is becoming a bigger concern, and I do think Kevin knows. I will be respectful of the people, but there's other people out there that are actually longtime detailers are having health issues, and I think as those health issues become more public, I think people are like, whoa, wait a second, what are we putting on our cars that's doing that? It's like, well, if you do that for 30 years, you're gonna have some issues. So why don't we not always focus on how I can put this on, pop a pill, and I'll be Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why don't we think about maybe backing it down a little bit? So I'm having some issues there. So I'm taking a lot more health concerns. Does that make sense? There
Also wear knee pads. Brennan says, how do you remove deep ingrained water spots from glass? I've tried everything from lemon juice to coarse cut and polish.
Straight acid. You need acid-based cleaners, but go ahead, Kevin. on that one.
Well, they can also etch and cause you more problems.
Themselves,
they can eat away and dissolve that, and then you have streak marks and whiting effects. So generally speaking, the typical car abrasive compound or polish, if you have difficult to remove water spots, they're not strong enough. They break down again.
Glass is hard.
Exactly. And
So
if you
it's not
can,
like a
if you
regular
can
paint.
abrade that away,
Right.
where is that glass abrasion going? Well, it's probably sticking to the polish. It's probably encompassing the compound, right?
Right.
If you've got a spongy pad or a soft and cushiony pad, that's not going to work very well. It's just going to roll right over it. So you have to go in and say, okay, well, I've tried those things. It's time to get yourself a felt pad, which if you look in even the most basic glass polishing kit, they use felt, which is essentially strings and cotton and different strands, and they compress it and flatten it and steam it together, and it's really dense. It's not very malleable, not like foam. And then you use something that the glass shops use called cerium oxide. It's made for glass. It comes in different grades. You can buy that at the glass shops, different powders, and you utilize that with some water, and you keep it really wet, because if you don't, it'll scour the glass. But I think if he's tried the traditional stuff for automotive paint, or pads, liquids, and polishes, it's time to try something with cerium oxide and maybe the felt.
Right.
And you can use the felt with rotary or random orbital, but again, the number one thing I've found is to keep it wet and use plenty of the cerium oxide, because if you get too much glass, you are now polishing your glass with glass.
Yeah.
And I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it on a Corvette,
Right.
where I actually was doing it just with the finger and thumb and a microfiber towel. Dummy me, didn't flip it, and I ended up scouring bigger marks than I was trying to take out. So I know that I speak from experience.
Oof, that sucks. All right, good tip.
I think that's
Cerium
something
oxide.
you want to wear a mask for, I assume, because you're polishing glass and particles in the air and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it will eventually dust away. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
The water helps keep that in control.
Good
though.
point, yeah.
All right. Any tips, recommendations, John says, for working gel coat on a fiberglass boat versus on a car? I currently have a Bigfoot 21 and Griot's 3-inch. Whatever that means.
Perfect machines.
Okay.
You wanna take
Anyone
that, or-
work on boats?
That's your
Yeah.
department, my man. You're a boat guy.
I've found that not that car or products built for paint don't work on gel coat, but the products that are designed for the marine line or a boat seem to work better. They have different properties.
No.
And they work much
I'm gonna
better.
go out on a limb here.
It turns out
it
gasoline
does.
cars run better on gasoline than diesel.
Yeah, but there's, again, like paint, there's no magic one product that'll fix it all. You've got to do your testing, see how the gel coat's going to react. There are different types of gel coats. Some of the gel coats have paint on them, vinyl, things like that. So there's not a one-stop shop answer for that one.
I just think gel coat, there's just a lot of stuff coming off.
That's
It's just,
right.
It's
That's
just like
right.
There is. It's
management
very
of
porous.
residue.
And-
It's just very porous, very oxidized, very dead old stuff. If assuming he's doing an old boat, I'm guessing it's just coming off. And as it's coming off, it's like having a fire hose and trying to breathe at the same. You got to be able to clean that pad out, otherwise you're gonna have issues. We did the same thing, the same kind of idea on the Freedom 1 airplane.
Yeah.
With Ryan, it was just oxidized paint, it was similar in concept.
Yeah,
to that
except
boat.
for this is not just a layer of it. It's sometimes the gel coat all the way throughout
Right.
becomes oxidized because it is so porous. So you go ahead and polish that away, and you think, I'm not going to get. When am I going to get to the good stuff?
Right.
Like you're never going to get to the good stuff.
Yeah, it's
So
just like really, it's way different than paint. You know what I mean? With
you
respect to,
could, like Derek said, you could definitely use automotive type compounds and polishes and pads. You just have to clean it a lot
like
more.
insane amount.
Keep
You actually have
it-
to use a different pad that's just like good at managing that residue.
But the thing is, it's not as thick as you think. You got resin and you got gel coats and
skip that one.
yeah.
Skip that one?
I don't even know what that means.
Okay, sorry, buddy. We kind of touched on this a little bit before. Larry, why are you against ceramic coating? I think what you just discussed was
I'm
the
not.
health.
For the record, I'm not against ceramic coatings. I'm just against not focusing on safety first. I think it's a great leap in technology, but I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Fair. Today is paint these days thinner. I don't recall my dad ever complaining about rock chips years ago. Today, now everyone goes and gets films.
The answer is yes, it's thinner. The new car paint.
Well, it's
in
different.
some cases, but like Tacomas, for example, are bad.
But if you get paint
It's
too
different
thick,
paint.
it chips big. It doesn't have the ability to
It's true.
to flex and bend, right? So there's a happy medium.
So
And
is thinner the right or wrong term? It's different.
it's different.
It's different. It's harder. It could be thinner. It could be thicker. I mean, it's just a different it's a different material than it was when this guy is saying that his dad never complained. He's driving a muscle car, let's say, that's this high off the ground.
And the whole
now we're
front's
driving.
chrome.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he didn't have paint chips on chrome back back when his dad's
it's
car.
super subjective. It's hard to, but I see his point. I just think we're more anal retentive about it because it's a part of their their being. Like my car is this.
We're aware. Maybe back then, like there weren't options. Rock chips and eventual decay were a part of life.
Right.
Now it's like we know about films and we know about this stuff, and
Right.
our bumpers are painted, and so now we care. We just care more.
Yeah.
There were no forums in the '60s where people would write down, like really, like, we wouldn't.
No, they would
we
pin
wouldn't
it on a
document
bulletin board
every
at
thought
Hayden
about our
Ashbury.
car.
Right.
We weren't writing down every little thing and talking. Hey, what's going on with yours? What's going on with yours? It's just like, all right, the car's the car, the paint's the paint.
Yeah. Yeah, and look at the cars, though. We used to have a chrome bumper, and you used to have an aluminum grill, and you used to have headlight buckets, and then you got...
And those things were tanks.
True, good point.
Right.
You take a rock chip
and you'd
any
have,
day.
6-inch frontal of paint from the front of the hood,
right,
and now
right.
you've got rubber bumpers that bend and flex, and they take an impact, and it bounces, it really hits it and moves it, and when the plastic bumpers started coming out, remember how bad they would get the bug etching and the chips? So it has to do a lot with that kind of thing.
Well, how about
too.
the Cadillac plastic tail light housings that just turn to dust? They're just gone. Oh, sorry, I just hit the table with my knee there.
I can answer the next question. Yes.
Jason says, it doesn't matter. Let's see. AK212. Any tips or products to remove scratches on textured interior plastics? What works best on scuffs on smooth interior plastics?
Well,
what do we do with interior plastics?
He's talking about. I guarantee you, he's talking about the door
scuffs
where he gets out and the rubber hits it.
Yeah.
I think if it's rubber from a shoe, you can get it out with a little bit of interior cleaner, a little pad, that kind of thing. The difference that he's talking about, that I get a lot of emails about, if you crease, cut, scratch, whatever the plastic, there's nothing, I don't think, and you guys chime in here, from a detailing perspective where I can wipe it on and then it's clean. You have to. Its plastic is damaged.
But he's saying scratches and texture. So textured plastic is textured for a reason, right? Either to decrease gloss or to resist a scuff from a shoe. So when I used to hang out at the stereo shop, a lot of those guys would say, "Check this out," and they'd heat up the panel a little bit.
That was the next thing to say. Heat that up.
And they'd take the hard end of the plastic end of a screwdriver or something plastic and rub it against that. And it would press that stuff back into place. So you would actually just kind of reshaping it and taking away the scuff mark.
It wouldn't make it smooth, though?
No, it wasn't that hot. It was just hot enough to get some movement. And then you'd use that plastic side of like a Craftsman screwdriver in the old days. Remember those? You just rub it real fast or a snap-on, just to be fair. And rub it, and it would smooth out and look really good, right? So that's one thing you can do.
I've also gotten an email of a dude who tried to heat it up and totally roasted it. I promise never to post that picture from the guy. But it's
really bad.
don't do that.
How do you get the melt marked out of my door panel?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the NZEC? Grandpa.
I hope
not
we
gonna
stay
say
around
that.
forever.
I can't say that. I can't say your username on the air. I'll get in trouble. I'm sorry. I won't get in trouble, but I don't feel comfortable.
Larry and Matt, thank you for your awesome content.
Yeah, okay, a couple donations. And Henry says, what are the best car-related things to do in LA area on a budget? We see this a lot, visiting for a few days. You want to drive canyons, obviously. You can just by driving around, visit all the Fast and Furious movie locations. That doesn't cost anything. It's just gas.
PCH.
Yeah, the Peterson Museum is very affordable, and I strongly recommend. There's the Automobile Driving Museum in El Segundo, which
Also,
you can go to, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And very reasonably priced.
There's plenty to do.
There's the Black Hawk Collection in Oxnard, which is Peter Mullen's just ridiculous, it's basically a Costco full of $10 million French cars. Just very, very crazy.
Some of the coolest design I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, the French are
really,
nuts.
Yeah.
No, for the French in the 30s, whatever drugs they were on, we should start doing them. Because they were great.
I think it was absent.
I've never been there. That was the vintage.
The Black Hawk Collection. Yeah.
Was that the Vintage Museum prior?
Ooh, I don't know. It's in Oxnard. I don't know what it's called, but it's this dude, Peter Mullen, who's obsessed with French
Bugatti
cars.
in there.
Bugatti,
Yeah, that's the
Voisin,
place. Yeah.
and all this really bizarre kind of conceptual stuff, coach built from the 30s.
every weekend there's got to be 6 different cars and coffees from Thousand Oaks all the way
Yeah.
down to Orange County. So if you're here on a weekend, you literally could just check Facebook or anywhere, but there's got to be
Just
literally
email Vinny. He goes to all of them. Vinny goes to like 7 cars and coffees a weekend. He comes home at like noon, and I'm like just not having left my house. He's like, there was 19 Sennas and 46 Koenigseggs at Newport Cars and Coffee, and I fucking
every
yawn
weekend.
and go back to bed.
He climbs back into bed with you, and everything is good.
Yeah, for the live people, I will be at Newport Beach Lamborghini Cars
Yeah.
and Coffee this Sunday.
yeah.
a shiny car.
showing off these boys' detail
Love it.
on my little red car.
Love it.
There's a lot of
There's
questions.
a lot.
There's
of
a
questions.
lot.
Holy cow!
There's a lot.
All right. Well, listen, we're gonna do 5 more. Oh my God, there's so many. There's just no way.
rip through
There's
some.
just no
We'll
way.
just scroll and
We'll
we'll
go
find
as
some
far
good
as we
ones.
can go until we run out of
Lightning
steam.
round.
We'll do
You know, you guys,
lightning round.
Lightning round.
Lightning round. These guys detailed, like 10
Yeah,
seconds
we're
a
like
question.
us.
10 seconds a question,
Okay.
right?
Fine.
But these guys detailed for like 14 hours yesterday, and then they were up on
Exhausted.
top of a mountain all day today. So we can't do a 3-hour show.
Sunburned, too.
But I appreciate everyone's enthusiasm, and we'll make sure to have them back as soon as we can. Let's see. 2018 Audi SQ5. Oh, this is not a detailing question. Looking to replace it with something smaller and faster, but I need 4 doors for 2 dogs. The 19 RS5 Sportback is top choice. Just saw one on the road. Very cool. Anything else? Let's see. $100,000.
Macan
probably.
Turbo.
Macan Turbo
Macan
is
Turbo's
a
a good
good one,
choice.
or even a Macan S with a tune is a good choice.
Smaller than an SQ5.
Smaller. Can you get an RS3? An RS3. I
RS3
mean,
is smaller.
I don't know if 2 dogs work in the sedan, but RS3s rule.
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't want to put dog in the
C63
back
wagon?
seats.
How about the new BMW X3m that was
Yeah.
just announced? The X3, which I am ashamed to say I'm excited for. Anyone else excited for X3m? It's like an all-wheel drive M3 wagon. That's
Yeah.
rad.
It should be
Pretty good
cool.
looking.
I think it's going to
The
be
new ones are
cool.
pretty
Yeah, I
good
thought it
looking.
looked great.
Got a
I'm
good
very
profile.
excited.
X2 too.
Yeah, I would go there. Sean Smith, first manual exotic. Should I get a 991, 911, or an Audi R8, V8, or V10? Interested to hear, considering a 911 and an R8 owner are present. Larry has an R8 V8.
You can't call a
R8 all day
911 an
long.
exotic.
He put exotic in quotes. I didn't read
I think
the
the
quotes.
R8 is, but go ahead. Sorry.
Whatever. Who cares?
Subjective.
I have an old 911, though, not a modern one, but I've driven a bunch of them, and I've driven the R8 V8. Larry, you've had your R8 for like a year? More than a year?
No, we did that in February, so yeah.
Okay.
14
Thoughts after a year?
I think it's great. We talked about that in the video. I think it's a fun drive. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but for me, the manual click, 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 click. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And every time I get in, for some reason, the R8, I think their interior is better than even the new cars. There's just a minimal amount of craziness. I don't want like 7,000 like weird digital buttons. I don't like that. I want one button here, one button there. This, you get what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
too much stuff. So I'm totally in love with the R8.
Do you, in hindsight, wish you had spent the extra money on a V10?
Absolutely not.
No? Why?
Because I like the sound of the V8. I don't necessarily need the V10.
Okay.
I'm not really tracking the car. It's more than enough horsepower, and like
Should
what am I
Vinny
doing?
Russo arrange a VF Engineering supercharger for you?
We can have that
He
discussion.
probably
for sure.
should.
I think we should.
Having
Absolutely
driven
think
a
we should.
supercharged V8, it is delightful.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's only like 25 pounds.
It's-
Like
yeah.
there's
So
almost
it's like
no weight.
reasonable. It's not like
Oh no,
doing
it's
something crazy.
amazing. No, everything that the VF does, and I'm not just saying that because I work there. It's dead on reliable. It's bolt on. So if you ever wanted to remove it, it absolutely could be removed, and it just adds just the right amount of punch. You'll absolutely
It
love
could certainly
And-
use a
and
little more horsepower, but it's not like I'm dying. Like it
But
doesn't.
it's
the thing is
500,
nice is-
560 horsepower,
Yeah,
and
it's-
it's only 27 extra pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
so
V8,
that's
the
a
V8's
lot-
more
that's a lot
balanced
of
in that
horsepower.
car. I really think
additional.
the V8's more balanced in that car than the V10.
It's
V10
I
manual's
agree
nice.
with that. Everything that's a great. The V10 I do feel is a little unbalanced. It's like so
No.
much horsepower. So if you have a lot more power, you gotta have a lot more brakes. You gotta have more. You know what I mean? Like this one's the perfect ballerina.
Yeah.
It may not be the fastest, can't jump the high, all these crazy things, but what it is, I think is perfect. So
And it's for an entry level exotic, it's cheaper to maintain.
it's insane.
more
Our
reliable.
lightning round concept is
Yeah.
broken down.
by
fully.
the very man that proposed it, by the way.
I don't know. 911s are nice too. Sorry, that's not. Best way to remove fingerprint stains off of buttons and interior. Anyone? Interior cleaner.
Is this from OJ?
Just an interior cleaner and a microfiber towel.
If it's just
depends on
typical
the-
lotion and
yeah.
skin, you can use a warm rag of water and microfiber.
Yeah,
but if
those are pretty easy.
Yeah.
Unless he's talking about like black plastic.
yeah, you just got to be careful with too harsh of a cleaner because sometimes it'll really it can
Especially with
affect-
those no matte finishes, they have to protect their
Next.
porous.
Greg Howard says EVs seem to come with a desire to embrace the latest tech, driver assists, and autonomous. Is there a market for a bare bones sports car EV like an electric Viper? I think no. I think you're trying to. You got two separate markets, the Viper market and the EV market, and someone might want an EV and a Viper, but they don't want those two things out of the same product, I don't think. And I think those who do can go visit someone like an EV West down in San Diego, because electric hot rodding, since it seems that everybody crashes their Teslas. There are a lot
That's
of
insane.
Tesla battery packs. There's a lot of Tesla motors around, and guys like EV West are building some really, really neat stuff out of them.
What about the Genovation? Have you driven that yet?
The what?
So Genovation is a company that does a manual transmission electric Corvette.
Okay.
It's a completely different take on a modern EV, and it is something I got to get you
Where
behind
are
the
they
wheel
out
of
of?
that. They're out of here.
Really?
Yeah, I got to get you behind the wheel on that.
Okay.
So
Look
Hill,
at
that used to do
that.
Bugatti.
That is
It's a manual transmission,
electric.
full electric Corvette.
Okay.
So
I mean, I'll keep an open mind and have
Yeah.
a go. Why not? That sounds
it's worth
neat.
experiencing.
100%. I'll fuck with that.
Just to throw that out there.
I will fuck with that.
It looks pretty cool.
It does. It looks like a nice Corvette, like a nicely modified Corvette. That's shot out by Spring Mountain. I know that road. That's where we
Yeah.
shot the GT500, Zachary. Remember
Oh, yeah.
for G4 Attack of the Show?
In middle of July.
Yeah, it was hot as balls.
Whoop.
Let's see. MB is Frenchie. I love you, buddy, but we got to get other people's questions. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh my God, these are not good. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Has anyone seen?
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Have you ever bought a dirty car to detail just for the satisfaction later?
No, but that would be awesome. No. The answer is no.
Did a kid after you had your rabbit hood situation? Did some kid walk up and go, "Hey, can I have your hood to practice detailing?"
No, that was pre YouTube, way pre YouTube.
Let's see. Corey says, I got an 05 911 with full leather package, and the PO left fingernail scratches on door panels and dash. Tips to soften or blend them in, DIY, or seek professional help.
It depends on how deep they are. Sometimes, like 10% of the time, if you just take a leather conditioner and literally like massage it, sometimes you can kind of minimize a little bit. But that's like shooting star, like very, very rare.
Bummer. Let's see. JDM, love the Rubicon video from a couple months ago, and now this Kenny Denali video. Are truck SUV one takes going to become a thing? If so, that would be great. I mean, I go off-roading every time the opportunity arises. The video,
there's a bunch of them.
The videos don't ever do well. Like, like 6 people are super excited about it, and then no one else gives a shit. But like, I still do it because off-roading is fun.
That's what we did with the ATA series. We're not getting a whole ton of views on it, but the people watching are like, "Oh my God, it's changed."
Yeah,
You know, that kind of thing.
Larry, best budget wax for the weekend detailer.
Go to your local store, and McGuire's is probably the biggest name out there for that.
Okay. Figure 5 says, is there a permanent solution to fading headlights?
Yes, change your headlights.
Yeah, good call.
No, I'm not being a jerk.
yeah.
That like literally change your headlights because I think
If they're fading and
if they're fading all the time,
yeah.
once you take the jacket off, you can't put it back on. Really, I mean, you can spray on some clear
you
coat
can
things.
do that,
but
or guys are doing PPF. That seems to have good durability
Really?
and chip resistance and all the best of everything, except for it just has to be put on properly.
right. So 6 1/2 dozen the other.
Okay. Ideal 2-car garage in the Northeast. Anyone. 2-car garage in the Northeast.
But it has to be under 50K.
He made these other rules, but then forget the
2-car
rules.
for me would
Yeah.
be the Panamera because I have a child and I like that. I know you guys like whatever. And then a
I like,
GT3.
I like Panameras.
I get so much crap from Musto on that.
What?
She's like, why you want a Panamera? I'm like, because I have a
great-
child. I want to put it in the
Tell
bag.
him to get a fucking red sleigh because he looks like Santa Claus.
Yeah, well,
Do you know how bad his Wagoneer is?
I love you, Musto.
Panamera wagon.
He's just mad he lost that bounty paper towel audition he was going for.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Two cars. Give me a 911 GT3 and
Yes.
a Range Rover.
I like
fuck
that.
with that.
I like
right?
that. Yeah.
Or a Land Cruiser, a new Land Cruiser.
Right.
I just had the Lexus version for like 3 weeks, and I really liked it.
It's nice sometimes for a cushy car just to kind of like.
Well,
chill.
Land Cruiser, it also has like proper off-road chops. I took it on a very serious trail on 21-inch wheels, and it was beast mode.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Land Cruiser is incredible. Where are we at here?
We're getting
best
there.
way to get rid of a weird smell in an old truck with cloth seats.
Remove the seats.
Really? I mean,
No,
like,
no,
can you deal with the fumigate?
I mean, you have to find the smell. Sometimes it's in the
Sometimes in the foam. Sometimes
Some-
in the padding
it-
underneath the carpet.
What if it's
Right.
just absorbed 30 years of farting?
What if it's him?
That might be it.
you can't replace. I mean, you have to replace things at some point. You have to. There's like detailing has a line. You have to be a little bit.
Yeah,
realistic,
you have to.
know?
I did a '56 Chevy. It had original seats and they were gorgeous, but it smelled so musty. So I tore the whole interior out, all the panels,
Right.
everything. We applied. I cleaned those with my pressure washer, low pressure. Just doused them, cleaned them. And they looked great. We went ahead and sprayed all sound deadener through all the panels, inside and out, on everything. Put it all back together. Like, oh yeah, you could still smell that.
Wow. Dude, you remember the story when we had the shop?
Well, I tell people all the time about the S4 and the seafood
exactly.
soup.
Thank you.
The S4, a car was totaled.
Brand
from
new.
It
It was at like
brand
500
new
miles.
Audi S4 was totaled. He was full hazmat suit.
The whole thing.
Someone had gone out to dinner and gotten like a seafood chowder.
No. They got their food for their plane. And they parked it at the airport. And
Yeah, it was
left
to go. They had a to-go bag or
yeah,
something.
but they left it in the airport thing. They got on the plane.
Yeah.
And they left it in the back and they went to the weekend, whatever. Like, obviously a wealthy family. They came home and they were like, I don't even, like, they were losing their mind. So they, flatbed the car to us and said, you got to fix this. It's got 500 miles. I don't know what to do with this thing. So I took the whole interior down to the metal.
Yeah.
And hazmat, the whole thing inside. I'm still like crying because it's old crab legs or whatever the hell it was. All moldy,
so
disgusting.
gross.
It killed the people upstairs in the old shop. We had people upstairs. They're like, "Bro, what are you doing down there?" You're like, I'm dying. So, anyways, the long story short, we couldn't. I was scrubbing
The
metal.
smell was permanent, and the insurance
same
company
thing.
totaled the car.
Yep.
It could not be fixed.
That's not an exaggeration. There was 500 miles or some
A lot
like
of surface
250
area
miles.
you got to
Yeah.
deal with in a car interior. I mean, new carpet.
Well,
padding every
another
time.
guy went out of town and parked his car under a tree with the sunroof open for like a month.
Oh, I had that one.
The Suburban, remember?
I
And it
remember
came in with like 6 inches of standing water and every surface covered in mold.
Yeah, and that guy,
It
I remember
was
that guy specifically. He's like,
crazy.
"Hey, like, what's the budget on this?" I'm like, "Leave a check or burn the car." Like, I don't know what to tell you right now. Like, I remember him very specifically because I'm like, you can't have both. You can't be fast and cheap. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I remember that guy. That was so. Yeah, it was like.
Yeah,
that.
it was like that. It
Yeah.
was actually, I think it was worse. It was really,
But there was
really.
a lot of standing water. Once you're standing water and all the electrical stuff, like it's
There was
totally-
there was
Yeah,
a
forget
soup
about it.
happening in that bitch.
Right.
It was fucked up.
yeah, that was a bad car.
Yeah.
Gross.
I was
So gross.
I wouldn't even get within 20 feet of the
Somebody's
truck.
got that.
I
thing,
wouldn't
it's
even
like, why
go
don't
near
these
it.
signals ever turn off?
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you answer. Like, I'd like to answer those.
There's a real question.
Which, yeah.
If my Countach
Not the
gets
next
that one, that
No,
one or the
next
one after it?
The one after it.
Oh, well, fuck that one. Who cares about my car? He basically wants to know. Yeah, forget it. Sorry. I talk too much about that car. Let's see. What you guys were just saying about the health risks.
Oh my God, this is real time. I
detailers
just
fail.
realized that.
Yeah, it's live. Face
Like, that's
at
a
Hit Home.
very interesting question. Thank you.
Are there certain car care companies we can support that take the safety of detailers the most seriously? Is anyone taking a proactive stance on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think we are because I'm doing certain things. Certainly at Ammo, where I know that I can go a certain direction. I know you guys know this pretty well because you're my closest guys. But we're making certain decisions that are focused on health and safety because I don't have any shareholders or just me. You understand? So like, I have to sleep at.
Yeah, the company dies if you die.
Well, aside from that, I have a child. And I want to make sure that everything is. So I would like to say that we are focusing on that. So I don't come out with certain products unless they're putting that to the side. I would say a company that I think is doing a very, 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 very good job and they're conscious of it is McGuire's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely on. They understand. A lot of the stuff that's going on. I'm being hesitant here because there's a lot of health things.
You have to be. Yeah.
So there's a lot coming out right now. So I think the market's going to shift pretty soon because people are seeing like, whoa, wait a second, like.
Yeah, by and large, the technology's not there.
It's
So
not
in the
always
meantime,
about
let's
the
use
profit.
masks, gloves, respirators, all,
Right. It's like,
glasses.
hey, we can sell this for a lot of money, and it's like, oh my god, and we're making all this money, and then it's like, well, wait a second, what's in this thing again? You know what I mean? So it's like a little.
Yeah.
It's just, it's going to start. I think it's going to start to turn because we're having a conversation about it now, and people are getting sick. So I appreciate that question for sure. But I'd like to think that I certainly made some decisions that are in that, and I would say that McGuire's just doing the same.
And people are becoming more and more aware of these issues, man.
Right.
You know,
It's
yeah.
harder
Needs
to
to be
hide
talked
it. The
about.
interesting thing is, if you want to know from a chemical perspective, the laws are changing on a basis that makes you want to gouge your eyes out because I have to make labels. And if you make labels, you have to have them go through a certain process to make sure that they're legal and fair. Why is that happening? The chemical companies and these restrictions of laws in these, each country, because a lot of the chemical, sodium ethyl glycol, all these crazy things are coming from different countries. As the laws have been changing with the Trump, presidency, et cetera, there's more transparency. When there's more transparency, the company that makes a certain chemical, call it chemical A, right? That's been in this product for 100 years. That chemical A, now instead of having a SDS, a sheet with all the stuff that's in it, there was this long. Now it's this long because you can't just hide anything. If it's 0.0000001% of something, you got to put that in. And if that's in, it triggers this law. And those laws are changing on a regular basis. So a lot of times the guys go, the smaller companies, the hell with it. I don't want to deal with it. And technically they're out of compliance. But if you want to be in compliance, like a big company like McGuire's, they're like, that's
they're
what they
So
do.
what do you
They're
do
totally-
if you run out of bottle space? Like with,
No,
with
we
labels
use
and
2
shit?
and 3 pages, just like the.
Yeah,
like,
those little
Oh,
pull
so
out.
you
Yeah.
put it.
If you get Mucinex,
yeah.
you
Or
go see the
you
third
don't
page.
use the product. You actually, this is a little, I'm getting close to where I'm not
Yeah.
going to talk anymore about it, but I spend there's opportunities where I can make more profit, and I don't, and I'm proud of that, and we've talked about this at length because Kevin helps me think about these things, where I decided to re-engineer. I decided to take a product down. I decided to be like, hey, maybe we should rethink this because let's be truthful. If I put ammo on, I can get coatings are done, like I can get a coating tomorrow. I'm in the industry, and I can put that on and retire. Like I'm joking, but it's crazy. But I'm not going to do that because it's like whoa, like why don't we chill for a second and figure out before like young people start getting injured? Because my friends, not these guys in the room, but my other detailer friends are like, yo, I'm sick, and so that's why I'm doing all this testing I was telling you about in my blood and all these other things to make sure that it's cool. So that hits home because I think that's going to change
way
fast.
bigger than he realized what he just asked.
It's a massive thing,
it's
and
a
I'm being
big
very
Way big.
I mean,
polite to everybody.
If you want to go
It's crazy.
further back, I mean, didn't the paint industry like go through this? It's why the water-based paints and all this
Right.
other stuff. I mean, so
Yeah.
if that
'Cause it's
side
big
of the
business,
if that
Vinny.
side of the industry went through that the last few years, it would only make sense that it trickles down to your side of the industry as well. I mean,
It's going to happen now because the light has been shined on detailing. Why? Because people are making money now.
Right.
And when people are making money now, that the industry has changed. Like you're talking about, those are cars.
Yeah.
Like everybody, everybody's looking at it, but the detailing is just kind of this. Oh, they're just washing a car.
Yeah.
When all these new technology came out and the new videos and all these things, everybody's aware of it.
Right. Well,
There's money.
detailing's becoming a
It's just like
profession
anything
now.
else. I can't think of another example. When there's money that gets flowed into an industry,
Dude, the legalization of fucking
There-
weed in
it-
California.
Thank you. That's
go.
exactly
that.
That's a perfect
It's the
example.
Wild West out here right
it-
now. It's craziness.
It's a perfect
It's the
example.
Wild West, but it's also it's like regulations that aren't necessarily in line yet
Right.
with like what's going on, but it's also still the Wild West underneath that.
Yeah, it's very.
yeah.
It's the
It's
same.
in the
That's
figure
a
it out
perfect
mode.
example.
Let's
Thank
think
you.
we don't know what can be good of this and bad of this yet. You
Yeah.
put in a 40-acre farm of that stuff down the road, and it smells like there's 50 skunks got ran over. You're like, what is that smell? And it's like, well, you couldn't have a pig farm down there and get away with that. You'd be part
Listen,
of business.
put my
True.
house next to a weed farm instead of a pig
Well,
farm any day.
well, that's true,
I can
but-
make a deal with a weed farmer that
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
us both very happy.
But this is happening in our area. This is happening in
Not
my
much I
friend's
can do
neighborhood,
with a
and
fucking
it's
hog
like,
farm.
wow, that's
I think
really
I think in
strong.
general we're paying more attention to things we consume. Like in the 60s, 70s, asbestos was everywhere, all that stuff, and they found that like fire retardant furniture and those things, like, turns out they're really, really bad for you. And we're becoming a more health conscious society, so we look at more things, including detailing. Any chemical
Well,
we
there's things
interact
to
with
be
is
healthy.
analyzed.
Like, hey, I don't want to eat. I want to eat organic food.
No, but like
there's
like
don't
plastic
eat
and
this thing
bottles.
because you're gonna get hurt. It's not like make it. You see what I'm saying? There's like cucumbers and then regular like organic cucumbers. Eat these because they're healthier. We're saying like, hey, if you're using one versus the other. This one could hurt you. It's not
No,
like
I
this
know.
one, the old cucumber. It's just
But like
not as-
they've studied like the plastic that we were using
Right.
in bottles, BPA. You know,
Right.
they got rid of that because they went, oh fuck, this is having a big effect on like the hormones in our actual DNA.
Right.
Now, what they replaced it with, we don't know, and there's a lot of analysis about the new BP whatever B and everything that
Right.
could also be a problem. But I think the point is, just in support of your point, is we're paying attention to like way more things we interact with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the
agreed.
bottom line is like
Agreed.
we need to like chill for a second, like slow down in the detailing. Like if I have a say in it or whatever, like everybody's just got to chill for a second, read what's in the bottle. Let's focus and think what's the long-term effect as opposed to like how much money can we make immediately. And that's not everybody. I'm just saying that's kind of the feel that I'm getting where it's like every 5 seconds there's a new thing that can be like, and you're like, wait a second, whoa, is this like safe for everybody? Like, let's like chill and think for a
I mean,
second.
this is an intimate thing. You're spraying glass cleaner, inhaling it.
Yes.
You're taking car wax and rubbing it on with your hands. It doesn't.
It sounds like how kids get high. It
Yeah,
sounds
exactly.
like
Well,
how your kids are
anyway.
getting
I mean,
high.
let's be real. We're using chemicals.
Yeah.
Like this is like crazy. You know what I mean? So I think now in the next couple of years, especially with these kind
I
of
mean,
things,
dude,
it's
the
gonna come up.
building that I'm building over here, right? Like the massive, like the dirt underneath the building was filthy from a chemical called vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride is just a cleaner. Like there's nothing about it that's not like nuclear waste, but like it was used to clean industrial equipment and silkscreen equipment, and like someone's drain had a leak, and now this entire neighborhood has vinyl chloride in it, and so like that's how so now now the entire neighborhood has to spend like crazy amounts of money like cleaning it all up.
Yeah, but at some point somebody probably found out like 20 years ago that whatever you said hurt somebody, right?
Yeah.
We're at that point,
right?
In the like we're
going
gonna
to
be the ones
that it's actually bad,
right? Because it's starting to come in. I was at a thing. I got to be very vague here. And when the guy who was promoting the thing that he was promoting said like, "Hey, I have this. I'll be vague again. Disease or whatever." And I'm like, that's from the thing, dude. Like, if I was the CEO, I'd be ripping you off the stage right now. I was like, I was looking around.
Cold
like,
asbestos car care.
Yeah, it's like I was like, what is going on? Did
like
anyone
on
not
Shark
have that?
Tank, he's telling his like overcoming the disease story, and
Yeah.
meanwhile the product he's selling is what's making him sick.
Yeah,
I'd like to advertise my
like
new
some
brand of
weird
lighters
fucked
as I
up
stand on fire.
Munchausen shit.
Yeah. So it's
crazy.
It's gonna start coming around as people focus on it. So it actually depends on these like people writing these. Like it's the customers that are gonna push this up.
Oh, you should get up with Alex Roy and the Human Driving Association. Somehow make that a thing.
Make that a thing, yeah.
Yeah. All right, last question, because I'm interested in this one. I have an old Lexus GX470. The bird's eye maple trim piece is starting to peel up off the plastic around the shifter. How do I get it to stick back down?
Can I make some sort of glue to make it stick back down? You guys, I'm unclear as to what. It's basically just a little plastic pieces peeling up.
Like the wood trim, the dash trim. It's like
Yeah,
peeling
like the
up.
accent trim.
Yeah, I mean,
Just glue it.
just glue it down.
Yeah.
I try to figure out what was the original glue. Maybe Google search that real fast. Just keep it original. I
it's
guess.
double-sided tape or some kind
A
of.
lot of it is double-sided tape.
It's not surprised.
Well, you know what might work really well is acetone. If you can get that on a Q-tip, acetone will clean off the dirt or
residue.
grime, or probably rubber protectant, vinyl and rubber dressing would leach behind that,
Right.
and you can clean that away. But the acetone evaporates so quickly it doesn't ruin the glue.
Right.
So there's times if you have little Velcro stuck to something that
Whoa.
falls off, you can clean it with acetone or nail polish remover and stick
it back on.
like brand new again.
Oh,
Wow.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
'cause they
one
screw
thing
the-
you could do, but
Right.
certainly you could drip some
That's a
kind
good tip.
of
Yeah.
glue behind there.
All right, I'm gonna call the
Are we
game
going
there.
to dinner here?
Yeah, we're gonna go to dinner now
right.
after this show. Thanks. That was a long one. You guys are champs. I realize it's been a very
Thanks
long
for
day.
having us.
It was a long. No, it's a long day for me. Fucking too.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
sun. It's great
It's a lot of sun and a lot of cars, and I smelled like gasoline. You know,
Yeah.
that happens when you drive a Countach a little bit.
This
you
is
come
true.
home and you can smell just a light gasoline
Mixed with foot odor.
with foot odor. My feet, I wear clean because I got to take my
You
shoes
have to take your
off.
shoes out. That's the only reason why. There's no odor.
It's nice. It's nice to have to take your shoes off. I do the little Mr. Rogers every time I take my shoes off in the car. I go, "Won't you be my neighbor?" I talk to myself a lot in that car. You know, when I was driving home, I do the one I do a lot is I sing the Cannonball Run theme song. Cannonballs, cannonballs.
I can't help but think of that.
I
movie
fucking
when
start.
you-
Hell yeah, dude!
Yeah.
Every time I go those nice S's on PCH. I'm Cannonball, and I fucking do that shit. All right, that's our show.
love that
We're gonna go to
Bronco.
dinner. Larry Kosilla.
Yes, thank you. We're starting up our podcast too. There's my plug.
Are you?
Yeah, Ammo
Plug
NYC
it.
podcast coming out soon. Lots and lots of videos. Of course, visit the website.
And
And if you
obviously-
have questions that we didn't answer, I think we'd be happy to just shoot me an email, and I'm happy to answer all that stuff or shoot it off to Kevin, etc.
All right, Kevin Brown, anything to plug?
I ask you to support my friend Larry because he puts me on the videos and the podcast.
Are
and-
you available for hire or anything like that?
No,
or?
I just sell product online and stay busy.
Yeah,
elsewhere.
buffdaddy.com.
Buffdaddy.com.
All the backing plates, all
Yeah.
the special things that we used on your car, like little 1-inch, like little micro things. He literally like hand sands and does all this crazy stuff to make
Extension,
it
detachments.
extensions, like any like weird detailing niche thing
All right.
that doesn't exist. Like Kevin makes it along with
Cool.
Rupes pads and polishes and stuff.
All right.
Yeah, he's the man.
Thanks.
Derek Bemis, do you have anything to plug, my friend?
Yeah, if you guys need any detailing service, you can reach me at detailworks.net or email me at detailworks1@gmail.com.
Yeah, this is the man of man when it comes to detailing in this area.
Well, I need a California guy.
He's the California guy.
We discussed this. I was like, great. Now you guys did the car. Like now Larry gets on a plane and goes home. Like now fuck. Now what do I do?
Yeah, Derek's
And-
your man. He does
yeah.
like we talked about Barry Maguire, right? That's not a secret.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
Barry Maguire, hopefully your guy, like major.
Yeah, we're
music
gonna hook you up with
collections.
Zuckerman.
Yeah.
And manage that collection that is in the background of the video, presumably.
Yes, and we did a video with Derek specifically, just taking a look, if you guys are crazy detailing nerds, at his truck and what's in it and how it's placed, and like it's total detailing nerd.
That sounds like some nerdy shit.
Yeah, so should be fun.
That sounds very
That's
fucking
great.
nerdy. Okay, that's our show.
Dinner.
That's our show. I don't know what's our next show. I don't even know. Don't even know. We'll have to look at the calendar. But thank you for bearing with us. We're powered by Shout Engine. You know the deal. Get your own podcast. ShoutEngine.com. We need to go to dinner.
Such an enthusiatic plug at the end.
I'm
there.
out of juice.
You're
I
out
don't.
of juice.
I say it every episode. This is when people are hitting that fucking next button on their phone.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us, man. Thank you.